Oh my gosh. I saw it on the ground and I was like, I can't stop it. Yeah. I was like, that's all mine.
All right, everyone, it's 11 o'clock, so let's get this meeting started. Thanks for being here. Yeah, we'll get rolling.
Where they're in the back.
Okay, well, if we see them, we'll
Okay, lunch is back there. It's it's in
Yeah.
like
in the kitchen.
kitchen. They come back out. Well, is the lunch sponsor back there, Wendy? And I don't see them. I do see Mark.
Mark, you're up.
Oh, boy. I love the energy today.
Frenetic.
Yay! All right. Mark Kuchik with Cross Country Mortgage. Hello out there. First thing I want to share with you is Ron is going to be doing there should be a slide,
Nope, sorry.
reclaiming your life. So how many of you, well, first of all, a lot of you get into real estate because you can control your hours, right? It's smart. A lot of people 2 years into real estate realize, oh man, I'm getting consumed by my work, right? You get into real estate because you can make unlimited amount of money, but a lot of people don't, it's not as easy as it looks, right? You work your tail off, but you've got expenses, things like that. How many of you let your work consume you to the point where you're maybe sacrificing a relationship? Your relationship may not be in the best shape. It could be with your spouse, your significant other. It could be with your friends. There's a period in my life where I'm like, I don't have any friends, right? And so some of us want to really truly reclaim our life. And so we're doing a class at the Epcot community, the newest one that just opened in Zionsville. Rhonda will be doing this. She does a fantastic job. She's done this for years. She's literally been asked to fly to Florida, Tennessee, Texas to do this for other groups. So we'd love to have you join us for this. I have a flyer that I'll pass out for everybody. The next one is our holiday special. So 1% off your interest rate for the first year. We've had 2 or 3 people take advantage of that, including Janice's. And by the way, Janice got this client because she posted this flyer on her social.
And when is it gonna close?
29 through 26.
And it's like only like 100,000, isn't it?
Oh, it's 625.
625 off one post posted.
She deserved that after last one.
Hey, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
Real estate gods came around, baby.
So that was wow, look at this group. So we're turning it around very quickly, and this it was not a competitive situation, was it? Yeah. Okay. All right. Lastly, monthly with Mark is tomorrow, Thursday. It's a live webinar. Tomorrow from 11 to 11:30. So we go pretty quickly. We talk about what is happening in the market right now. You may not have heard a lot of things going on, but in our world, the mortgage industry right now, there's a lot of dissension around what's happening with rates. They're going to drop rates probably a 1/4 point tomorrow, but there's a lot of naysayers that they should not be doing this. Okay. And most likely they're not going to drop in January like a lot of people thought too. So you've seen mortgage rates actually tick up in the last week, and it's because there's a lot of dissension around what's right, what's wrong. A lot of it's lack of data, by the way. A lot of more data will start coming through next week. But where we stand today, there's a lot of people who don't believe tomorrow should be a rate cut. Okay, so we're going to break it all down for you because as we talked at the last one of our recent meetings, through the holidays, guys, you're going to be asked a lot of questions. How's the market? How you respond will dictate a lot of decisions people make based on how you respond, right? So we're going to break things down. Second thing, we're going to talk about what is up with rates. That'll be what's happening in the market, but we do specifically get into what's up with rates. And then we'll talk about a little bit of inspiration. We're going to talk couple scripts that you can use around the holiday time when we do get asked those questions. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, look, we're gonna go back to our lunch sponsor.
Okay, we're going back to our lunch sponsors.
Good morning, guys.
Clean space remediation.
Hi, I'm Zach. I see some faces in here that I do know from past. My name's Chris. And we are the owners of Clean Space, just a month old. Just started mediation. We do mold remediation only. Do encapsulation, replacement of vapor barrier. And if there's anything else that during inspection I have to bring up to your notice that you don't know about, I will do that. I'm blind, but.
And like, I know it can be hard to trust just like two random people up here, but we have over 10 years of experience in the industry, like mostly field work, so like we know what we're doing. I'm personally IICRC certified, like 4 different certifications, been through all the class and all of that. We can offer competitive prices. And we have very flexible scheduling too, so like if you call us on Tuesday and you need a job done Friday, like we'll work with you to get that done.
Yeah, just to meet that closing date, because we don't want you to call for an extension and move it forward, and then it just kind of rumbles on further than when it has to. But yeah, no, we even though our pricing is small, it's because there's only 2 of us. We're the ones doing the work. And just excited to be here. Thank you for having us as well. You know, we don't want to take up much time, but we brought Yats as well. So Yats, yes. There's also I also brought 2 different sodas as well. It's a great time. Anyway,
Brought us fancy soda.
Nice.
holiday sodas. Yeah, one's a Shirley Temple, and the other one's some kind of Coke cream soda, and it's great. Just try it. But anyway, any opportunity you guys give us, we would love, and we'll take it on. So.
We all remember our first listing, so well, not me, but you guys.
All right,
Thank you, though.
thank you. Thanks, guys. Gabe? Gabe, you talking?
Sure.
Go for it.
Giving away today.
Nothing today. Nothing today, unfortunately.
Wisdom?
Wisdom. Yeah. There's a slide. I like this new space. This is real cool. I was here for the casino night, and that was actually
Who's
really
after?
neat.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Me and Jennifer were by the blackjack table most of the night.
Yeah.
How'd you end up doing?
Right.
Well, cool. Speaking of the giveaways, we actually wrapped up our final giveaway for the Q4, and that was Cam Mason. Yeah. So and I know that you won, Wendy. Brian, you won as well, and Peter Stewart won. So overall, great year so far. Really glad we can help you guys out, do something like that. So, something I mentioned on yesterday's BNI meeting. I think Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are going to be almost the negatives. It's going to be very, very cold. So this is a time that we like to tell people, make sure you're insulating your hose, your spigots, make sure you're taking all the proper precautions to make sure you don't freeze your home and stuff like that. If pipe freezings happen, you're going to be able to. Right.
Great opportunity to email your clients. Good.
Yeah, we post things on our social media all the time about make sure you're dripping that faucet when it gets real cold, make sure you're doing this, that, and the other. Just kind of provide that extra value, right? That's what we always provide. Service line coverage on our policies, which is why we always explain, hey, look, when it gets really cold like this, you want to make sure you're well protected. So that's why we like to be your preferred vendor for homeowners insurance. Stuff like that. So yeah, that's all I kind of got.
All right, thanks, Gabe. Okay, so the main content today is the Multiply Your Business watch party. Packed into 3 M's of marketing, massive listings, and mindset. But do we want to do Ruthie?
And give you guys a chance to go
Get lunch
lunch.
and
And
then
then we'll
start
start the
this. So we're gonna start the programming after everyone's been through the line.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can come and go as you want.
Yep.
And because this is a recording from October that we couldn't take advantage of due to the move.
Yeah.
So we made sure we showed it before the end of the year.
It is power packed though. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
People that watched it last year. Was anybody there last year? Janice was. Did you watch this last year live? Look, you were there. I thought she was Jennifer Goodspeed with.
So if you're online, we're gonna have them get lunch real quick. And we'll start it.
But we're also gonna introduce Mark for Ruthie
Yes, in a minute.
right now. Right now.
Come on, Brian, come on up.
Right now.
Well, it wouldn't be a very good, somebody is kind and respectful. And twice working with the agents, but since Val wouldn't let me keep it, I'm gonna have to. Goes to James Embry. Most of you are not good call in the morning like I am, but James is one of the first after me, is one of the first people in. He always knew what's going on in his own office. He's very much a figurehead of our Cato culture. And he's very much respected by his own people. And now by all of us, he always steps forward. When the first day we were actually in here, James was hauling file cabinets and chairs, and whatnot, all by himself. He set up that centerpiece of whatever that thing is, that cabinet. Sorry.
He built it, yeah.
Yeah. So James is always willing to help. He does personify the culture. He teaches at the market center. So it's a pleasure for me to give this to James Embry this time.
All right.
He's at the ALC clinic today. I think Tori's there too with a couple other people. They're in,
The leadership is. Leadership is
yeah,
today,
the
the
leadership and then
tomorrow, so-
ALC's tomorrow. Yeah, you know. So break for lunch.
All right,
Let's do it.
break.
I'll get this set up.
Somebody's gotta be first.
Brian,
You like it?
Yep, you look great, thank you. So what have you been doing? GLP-1. Walking. Works wonders. It does. Eat a lot less. So. Which one? It's just like a custom compound from an online pharmacy. Yeah. Yeah, you look great too. Okay. I lost 42.
Now we have the Carolinas.
It's like a miracle.
Yeah.
Plus exercise.
Right. Did you guys have your meeting today?
We're in the 11th.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
It's not tough.
Yeah.
billionaires, but I've gotta.
I was happy.
get it out to a fellow.
Okay. Cool.
It's probably one of my faves. I'm so excited to see this
very well.
year, but realistically, I mean, it's just rock star.
Better now. I mean, just seasonality of it. So. Be a
That's
good
your
place.
Washington Street person.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here with us and supporting
How you
kids.
doing, Stu, about it?
So we'd love to have you host.
Right.
Host some folks. Just thinking, all right. Easy.
Yeah.
Place.
Yeah, Bridget.
Like you. See, I look like a second. That's not.
Every pudgy face guy with a beard looks like you.
True, I know it's not.
How are you?
Sean, right?
Yeah. Doesn't really get anything up to 2 days. All Zoom side by side.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, I don't know.
you guys cold?
Oh, it's.
We're closing my door to keep the heating. Okay, so you know, we were too hot before, so anything like that, report to Jennifer O'Neill. Cause she puts in work orders. What's wrong?
I just want to put on a jacket.
But we don't want it to be freezing. We just, when we walked in here before, like the first few weeks, we were sweating.
Oh, I know.
And now I'm actually comfortable, but you're cold?
I'm always cold.
Oh,
But
okay.
when
Okay.
this yesterday was freezing and then.
I am not always cold. This is my hands.
All right, you need to tell Jennifer.
Right now,
That
ma'am.
front-
Oh,
that big
she's not here. I'll
conference-
tell you.
Make sure you either email or tell them.
That big conference room.
On the outside.
Yeah, windows. You could store food in there.
I just turned it up last night and then I just put a space heater in there too. I think, because they turn everything down at night. I don't know if you know that. And then I think that room, because of the windows, has a hard time heating up.
Yeah, it's gonna be even worse.
Yep.
Our office, I don't mind it because I'm always hot, but
Is yours hot?
it's cold.
Okay, so, yes. Like, we need to find like the perfect medium, because we were all too hot before. So if you have an issue, make sure you're telling Jennifer.
Jennifer's putting in a work order now.
Temperature and.
And you have different- Thermostat, so, like, Billy, I would tell Jennifer as well, if you're having an issue on this house. Okay.
Yeah, these are my hands 24/7 when I'm in salt. And I don't get cold. You're never cold.
Gotta wear sweaters.
Oh, yeah, your hands are freezing.
I never get cold.
You would watch,
Weird.
why I did find it, but. Jennifer and Katie like.
You're my intern, who's nice to know you. They don't wear coats.
Thanks for your patience, guys. Online.
So you're, cause I posted that graphic too, this was just some random person, there was no connection.
Founder of a farm. A friend of mine. Florida. And she was struggling. She was living here, she was struggling to find a place. It's hosting. Hosting. He called me, she called me. I didn't know that.
Oh, you need help showing or something.
Master plan.
That's all.
So I found something. Now she wants to see houses here. I'm leaving town.
Well, yeah, you ever have something that just, you don't remember, save it, shoot you the next. Happy to do that, I do it for quite a few years.
Also, it's maybe good.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying about. Warrants. Every unintended should be understood. She doesn't know the fact about something.
You all fancy. Everything branded goes together. Everybody wants to make it on, especially. It's up, like, you're interested. I'm gonna go to Ashley. We'll post out in the coffee shop. Just to see if I can muster it out. I've never done this,
Somebody's giving these away.
That's exactly what I need.
I don't know, was it, that's something. Something that was giving that away.
Perfect. I'm gonna do this. That was a really good idea. Work with a local Or a pop shop. Or a small little. You gotta drive them, that's another small price. Well, you know, just go there like, daily, 3 hours or something, but then you post on social, you're there just as resources, whatever, those questions. And they do it on their page too, they're not on the page, they have. And so you're helping, you're helping each other too. That's the new place, I hope it's all by the way. And it's speaking right now, so.
You're probably good to play it.
Okay.
Terrence, my name's Ruben Gonzalez. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the chief economist here at Keller Williams. Today, I'm just going to walk you guys through kind of an abbreviated version of our kind of market update, give you guys an idea of kind of what the market's been doing over the last couple of months and where we see it going the rest of the year. A little bit of a preview of kind of what I think about 2026. So we'll start just by going through some basic economic data that's going on right now. So the big story these days has been unemployment. So it's been trending up slightly. Obviously, the October number or the September number is being a little bit delayed by what's been happening with the government shutdown. But we went up to 4.3%. And the bigger story here is that we thought we were adding.
I'm trying to fix them online.
Months ago, really last month. Before that, they had thought that we were adding about 120,000 jobs a month. Then we got a big data update.
Thank you guys, so you can see all the charts and everything.
Just barely more than 20,000 jobs a month for the last 4 months. So that's really kind of changed the narrative. And when you look at this slide, with the gold line being the number of job openings in the economy, and the blue line being essentially what is the number of unemployed people, the estimate of it. For the first time in quite a while, that gold line's below the blue line now. But that means there's now more unemployed people than there are open jobs. That's somewhat normal, but obviously what we're seeing in real time is this broad downward trend in the number of job openings that's also contributing to this idea right now that we need to be concerned about the pace of the economy, what's happening with jobs, and potentially looking at kind of stimulating the economy to get ahead of any economic downturn that would cause unemployment to trend up kind of outside of the normal range into something that's pushing toward recession territory, right? So that's where the Fed's at right now, kind of they're between a rock and a hard place. They're looking at, we'll get there in a second, but prices, they're also looking at unemployment. Which one do we need to try to push in the right direction? Because the policy to push one in the right direction and the other in the right direction right now are opposites, essentially. In terms of economic growth, the challenge is that it's really hard to kind of pick these numbers apart right now as well. You can kind of see the last 2 quarters here. Q1 looks really weak, Q2 looks really strong, but you can't really tell, even when you dig into the numbers, a little bit difficult, because in Q1 we had a ton of businesses that were essentially bringing in a ton of imported goods to try to get ahead of tariffs, and that counts negatively toward GDP. And then in Q2, we had a ton of businesses that were essentially burning through those inventories of accumulated imported goods. And that then makes a lot of what looks like negative growth, or what would have been positive growth in Q1 kind of move into Q2. So we don't really know. The real numbers are somewhere in between these two for both quarters, right? What we do know is that consumer spending has been relatively healthy, but the kind of concerning piece there is an increasing amount of consumer spending is kind of being concentrated in the upper kind of 10% of earners. That's up, according to Moody's economists, they were estimating that now about 50% of consumer spending is happening in the top 10% of earners, right? Of in terms of income, the top 10% of income in the United States. That's trended up from in the past being around 30%. It's concerning because it means there's a little bit more volatility. A lot of the spending is probably being propped up by the stock market right now, which is pretty elevated. We have this sort of AI boom happening. It's raising a lot of questions because there's just so much money pouring into so many new businesses. And we've also seen to some extent, part of what's moving GDP up as well is in the investment category. That a lot of the investment that's happening is also in AI. So there's a bit of a question mark, how sustainable is what's happening in AI? How long will it last? What does it look like going forward? So just a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty is one of the big themes kind of continuing in the economy right now. Looking at inflation again, this is the other side of the coin that the Fed's looking at right now. It's not in a bad place, but we don't want to see it start trending up. We kind of know that we're going to see some upward movement in certain prices as a result of tariffs. The question really is it upward? Is it just a jump? Does it just go from here to here and then kind of move across? Or does that turn into a trend where the prices of those goods jump and then continue going up in response to tariffs? So that's another thing the Fed's trying to figure out. The answer to that question will come from more data, which means more time. And in the end, what this is going to result in is just essentially what I would say hyper scrutiny of every data release for the rest of the year going forward. And mortgage rates we're going to see are going to move a lot with all those data releases most likely. So jumping into what's going on with real estate, we're still estimating around 4.1, maybe we'll get 4.2 by the end of this year. We've kind of trended behind last year quite a bit of this year. When we look at it, we'll see on a monthly basis in a second. But the story really is mortgage rates. So we're starting to finally see this downward trend. So that's the good news. We think that's hopefully going to continue. We've moved down to about 6.35% in September. It's still right around there in October so far. We think the Fed's going to lower their rates probably 2 more times this year because we think they're going to lean more toward protecting the economy than trying to ratchet down on inflation. But you got to realize there's a thin margin in those decisions right now. So everything we see, whether it's an unemployment report, an inflation report, GDP reports that come out over the next couple of months, markets are going to swing back and forth a lot, probably based off of whether they're viewed as a good report or a bad report. So if we have higher than expected inflation, that's going to push against the Fed's ability to lower rates. So you may see mortgage rates tick upward in that case. If we get a bad unemployment report where we see jobs are even weaker, well, that's going to give the Fed more reason to want to lower rates. So you may see rates swing down on a weak jobs report. Those are the patterns we're probably going to see. But in general, we do think we're going to see kind of a downward trend, but not steep. I think with some luck, we may be starting the beginning of the year in the low 6s, maybe getting towards 6%. I don't think we're going to see, like a dramatic half point swing anytime soon. At least there's nothing in the data right now. That the caveat is when we get a report that surprises us in some way, right? So affordability, this is where we were at the end of last year. We think so far this year, when we get 2025 on here for an annual estimate, we're probably going to have moved down below 30% due to a combination of slower home price growth that we'll see in a second, and the fact that we're finally starting to see, especially in this last quarter, some movement in mortgage rates downward. We haven't quite seen yet, at least the data we have, mortgage rates translating into increased home sales. But that's all about timing, right? We saw rates start to trend down in August, really moved in September, and those contracts aren't going to be closing until October, November, December, right? Right now, when we look at the data for September, I think we're going to come in about flat year over year. We'll see where NAR puts us once they do their seasonal adjustments. But what we see is essentially a flat September compared to last year. And this is new home sales. So looking at new construction, what you can see is what they do is they record a new home sale at the contract, not at the closing, off of that beginning decline in rates. I think we'll kind of see a similar pattern in September. So that gives you an idea. I think the movement in existing home sales is going to be somewhat smaller, but I do think we're going to see a similar bump, but it's just going to be much later. Well, I think we won't see it until October, November, where we're going to see this kind of improvement in existing home sales showing up. In terms of inventory, so we're at higher levels than last year, obviously. What we have seen in the last couple of months is that new listings has slowed down a little bit. I think we're kind of stabilizing compared to last year. I think inventory will continue to grow, but I think we've kind of moved past the surge in most of the markets. And we'll have to see how inventory now responds to lower rates and increased demand. So what we do know is a lot of the sellers right now are buyers, right? So if the buyer pace starts to pick up, more deals start to close, we may start to see another bump in inventory as sellers start to kind of get off the fence and move back into the market. So we'll have to see how that all balances out. Obviously, well, maybe not obvious to everyone, but what this month supply of inventory actually measures is essentially if you take all of the houses that are for sale right now and freeze them there, and you take the pace of home sales and continue it indefinitely, how many months would you go before all the houses are gone, right? So right now it's 4.6 months. So if the buy side of that increases and the home side of it and the actual supply, the number of listings stays the same, we'd see this number go down. But they're both probably going to be moving up over the next couple months. We just kind of see how that balances. Typically, we're at the peak of our inventory is in most given years because the seasonality to this. You can see the curve. We'll have to see how that that curve fits in Q4 now that we're getting this movement in mortgage rates that's gonna kind of pump a little bit more demand in the market and may kind of shift this seasonal pattern a little bit forward. And home prices. So these have been growing very slowly nationally on average, right? So sort of the average temperature of the country has been rising pretty slowly this year. We were only at, I believe, so we were only about 2% up year over year. And when you look at other indices, they're showing even slower year over year home price growth, and it's split amongst the country, right? So in the South, we're seeing something like really flat home price growth, 0% in a lot of markets, even negative some places. And the West is also very low single digits, whereas the Northeast and the Midwest are growing in the high single digits right now. So there's a diversity there, and it's also interesting when you look at those places in terms of affordability. You know, the South is still one of the more affordable areas, but the demand has dropped enough that home prices are still relatively flat. Whereas the Midwest is also very affordable. We're seeing higher home price growth. They're seeing more demand there. The Northeast is relatively unaffordable, but they're still seeing high home price growth. The inventory is so limited, and the demand has remained, even though it's not as high as it had been a couple of years ago. And then, you know, jumping into mortgage rates, you know, we think we're going to finish the year this year probably relatively flat compared to last year, like we average it across the 2 years. But, you know, we already talked a little bit about the monthly rate and how it's already moved down. So I think when you talk about 2026, we're finally going to see this moment where we see rates averaging below the previous year's rates. And that's important because from a psychological perspective, it matters to buyers. And when we go back to look at the data that's important, we get a year where we see a year over year decrease in this average rate compared to the previous year. That's usually when we see, you know, during kind of a downturn in the housing market, it start to lift again. That's when you start to get on the upswing. So I think we're going to be there in 2026 right now. We'll see how all this data evolves. Obviously, like a lot of volatility. I think we're going to see volatility in rates. I think we're going to see a lot of responsiveness in home sales right now to that volatility in rates. So it's going to be a bumpy fourth quarter, but I do think it's going to be an improving fourth quarter, especially compared to last year, which was relatively negative. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Again, you know, thank you for supporting KW Cares. I mean, I've been at KW for 13 years. I've seen you do some really cool stuff. I'm also really excited to, you know, hear what the other speakers have to say today. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Thanks, guys.
It's always my thing. Give me commentary.
It's
That
good
was fun
stuff.
though, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Mike, but I am a total data nerd, so I was fangirling pretty hard for Ruben. Anytime he speaks, I am there with my pen and paper and nerding out. So thank you, Ruben, for sharing that great information today. Well, guys, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today, but if you've joined with us before, you might have noticed last year we really leaned into everything that is KW, which is leads, listings, leverage. And since at Keller Williams, we love using letters to shorten everything. We went with the letter M this year. We're talking about marketing, massive listings, and mindset. 3 amazing topics. We have found the best of the best to speak on these. We're going to start by leaning into our marketing segment. So we're talking about everything from digital marketing to how you're meeting your database, where they're at with your marketing message. And kicking us off is the person I already told you that I was so excited to see. We're going to introduce my friend, Ken Kozak.
What's going on, KW? This is Ken Kozak here in Orlando, Florida. And I guess today we're talking about content marketing and how it can change your life and your business forever. Before I get into that, last year, my team and I, we closed just over 500 units for $328 million. And a good majority of that came from content marketing, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, our newsletter, our website. We do kind of everything. And yet we didn't start there. We started with YouTube. And I think the cool thing about this talk today, and as I was preparing, was that it all works. Like YouTube works, Instagram works, podcasts work, newsletters work, direct mail works. It all works. It's just whatever you spend the most amount of time getting amazing at is where you're going to have oversized results compared to everybody else. And so today, I'm going to start and really talk more about YouTube than anything, but this goes into anything that you are thinking about getting into in regards to content marketing, and really talk about the 4 C's of building an influential brand online. The first C that I would say is clarity. Who is your ideal audience? If you have no ideal audience, you're going to try to talk to everybody. You're going to talk to the entire country, try to be a real estate influencer, or maybe you're thinking, maybe I'll do content for real estate agents and I want to be that funny person online that makes other real estate agents laugh and hopefully get agent referrals. It's not my favorite way to go about it, but I know some people do that. For me, it wasn't just all of real estate. It wasn't other real estate agents I was going for. It was people moving to Orlando. That was my main one that I focused in on. And I was going to create content just for those people. And I wouldn't put out a piece of content if that ideal avatar wouldn't care about that piece of content. And so I didn't get distracted putting out food reviews and all these other kind of things originally. It was just strictly hundreds of videos around moving to Orlando and things you need to know. The top 5 things here, the neighborhoods there, the market there. And it's obviously expanded more so beyond that. But really, even today, we reach 5 to 6 million people a month online. And still, it's all around just Orlando. I haven't even expanded to Florida and beyond that. So we got really, really niche. And because of that, we own the mind share of people online that are thinking about moving to Orlando or already live here. The second thing you're going to think about is content. What are you going to show them? Now, we just talked about figuring out your ideal person and making sure you're shooting content for them, but what is it that you're going to do? Now, slowing down and creating 2 or 3 buckets, we'll call them. For us, it's real estate news and development. That's one bucket. The second bucket is the moving to living in kind of content. This is where you're saying, hey, we're in Orlando. We have 112, 115 zip codes that we service, and a lot of different other pocket neighborhoods. And so we're talking about top 5 best neighborhoods in Lake Nona, or hey, the moving to East Orlando versus West Orlando. So it's local news and development. It's the moving to living in kind of content. And then last would be those community tours or listing tours. And last year I talked about seller focused listing tours, and those are still crushing for us. So a seller focused listing tour is where you say, hey, today I'm going to show you this great area of Dallas or Austin or wherever you're at. And at the end, I'm going to show you my newest listing there, and it's going to blow you away. The cool thing about that is you're getting buyer leads, and you're also signaling to the general public that you work with sellers. And so having one of these buckets and deciding who you're going after, and then being consistent with that is really big. And number 3 of C of the 4 C's of building an influential brand online is consistency. How often are you showing up? Now on YouTube, we say that you have to show up at least once a week forever. And the longer you do it, the better you get and all of that kind of thing. But you have to decide, what does consistency look like in your ideal platform? So Instagram, it might be 3 to 5 times a week in the feed, and then every day in your stories. TikTok is probably going to be similarly 4 or 5 times a week in your feed. So it's a lot more work to be really consistent. But it's so interesting to me that people will try so many things. They'll try open houses, they'll try farming, they'll try anything, and they understand that the secret sauce is actually the consistency. But then when it comes to creating content, they'll shoot one video and then never do it again. Or they'll shoot 3 or 4 or 5 videos and say, oh, it didn't work. It didn't go viral. And so now I'm done. What we're looking for here is consistency, time on task over time for the rest of your career. I've been shooting content now for 6 years or so, and we've put out thousands of pieces of content, and I'm still learning today new tactics and new things that I can do better to get better watch time, to get better clients, to get better conversion. And so this is like a lifelong endeavor. But here's some ways to be consistent and to be able to figure out how to be more consistent with your content. Number 1 is time block your research, your shooting, and your posting. So on my calendar, my research day is Wednesdays. I have 90 minutes or so where I go through news topics, and I go through permitting data, and I figure out what am I going to shoot the following day, because on Thursdays is when I shoot with my videographer. And so I will get everything lined up to where I'm not showing up with my videographer wondering when I'm going to shoot. It's on my calendar that I'm going to make sure that I am coming prepared, and that people are going to be really excited to watch what it is that we have to put out. Then you're obviously scheduling the shooting, and then what's your posting schedule? So for me on YouTube, every Tuesday I'm posting a video and I don't miss. Then the second thing for consistency is keeping an ideas notes on your phone. So for me, it's literally have a notes app that says video ideas. And when you're out and about, you will have clients inevitably ask you about something going on in your area, and you're going to be able to say to them, like, write it down in your notes. Hey, this, I keep hearing this over and over again. Or maybe you're driving and you see a new, like, coming soon from a builder. I thought, didn't even know that was coming. So you write that down in your notes. That's all the ways that we stack video ideas. And it allows me to be way more consistent, because when I show up to do the research, I'm not sitting there wondering, what is it that I want to shoot right now? And that whole, whatever it is for agents or just business people in general, for whatever reason, if they don't know what they're going to shoot, they will then put off actually shooting the content. So lowering that barrier to understand that you have plenty of ideas to go through will make you more consistent. And the next thing, the last one, is an evergreen bank, I call it. This is where you can shoot videos that you've done in the past that have done well, reshoot them. And the weird thing is, it'll do actually better than the first time you did it. An example, I did a how to buy a short-term rental in Orlando video. I've done that same video 3 times. And every time you do it, it gets more and more views, and I do better at that video. But the way that the algorithm serves it up, you might think, well, oh, my subscribers have already seen that video. Here's the deal, guys. 80% of the people watching your video have never seen a video of you before. They're not your subscribers. It's only 20 or 30% of the people that see your videos and watch your videos that are actual subscribers. So having this evergreen bank of stuff that you know that works and redoing it every year or so will allow you to be more consistent. The last thing is being curious. So always looking to improve, always looking to figure out, how did my last video do? Why did it do well or not well? And what can I do slightly better next time? Maybe it's better audio design where the music sounds better, or you're adding little things in here like little noises to make it a little bit more intriguing for people to watch. Maybe the coloring just doesn't look awesome and you're like, how do I get better color grading? Or you're telling your editor, hey, right now it kind of feels so flat. Is there a way we can get a little bit more vibrant colors? Maybe you're trying to cut out some of the fluff in your overall presentation to make it more watchable. There's lots of different ways that you can be curious and do extremely well at this content creation game. And so for me, like on YouTube, they have a whole analytics page where I just geek out every single week on where are my viewers coming from? What other videos are they watching? YouTube gives all this stuff to you for free. You can see your ideal people that are watching these videos and what other creators are they watching, and then get ideas based off of that. It's like the coolest thing ever. So fall in love with the process, and being very curious will allow you to become a better creator and get more business from this idea of content creation. So the 4 C's again: clarity, content, consistency, and curiosity. Nail those and you will be well on your way. Thanks so much, Keller Williams. Talk to you soon.
Williams family, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for participating in this KW Cares event. What a wonderful company that we all get to be a part of, that we are so blessed to partake in, who gets to give back to so many wonderful people and organizations and when natural disasters occur. So thank you, KW Cares. Very honored and humbled to be a part of this. So because I only have 10 minutes, I'm going to get to it. My name is Dana Gentry, and I'm here to speak on branding and building your own authority in the marketing space, growing your influence, things that are very, very, very important in the landscape that we are in today. And I am going to share with you why they are so important. So we are going to run through a couple of quick slides, and I hope that you learn and take some great things away from today. So first up is this. I have a workshop that is about an hour and a half, and I'm condensing some of that into 10 minutes for you right now. So if you would like additional bonus material on building your brand and growing your influence and gaining authority, you can scan the QR code, you can follow me, DM me the word multiply on Instagram, and I will share extra bonus material with you. So let's get down to business. Most people are not succeeding or hitting their maximum potential because they are not humanizing their business and telling their story on social media. This is probably one of the largest opportunities, especially for those of us in the real estate space and in the real estate brokerage space. We are behind. We don't do as great of a job of telling our story and humanizing our business. Therefore, we are missing a lot of maximum potential and opportunity. The people who are rapidly taking market share are understanding this at a high level. They're using video, they're using social media, they're telling their story, and they are humanizing their business. I love to get tactical examples of things when I attended training. So right off the bat, I wanted to give you 4 people inside of our Keller Williams ecosystem that I would highly recommend that you go and follow on Instagram. If you want to see some great examples of agents and leaders inside of our organization who humanize their business and tell their story on social media at a high level, these are the 4 that I cannot recommend enough: Dylan Ballard, Mandy Mancini, the Barron Group, and Curtis Rose. Definitely encourage you to go check them out if you want some examples and you're starting from scratch on this. So I want to start second with a quick little story about Linda McKissick, my greatest mentor and friend. And Linda and her husband Jim McKissick had a real estate team and business in a small town called Denton, Texas. Linda's goal was to always go to the grocery store, walk in the produce section, and instead of someone saying, "Hey, excuse me, where's the kiwi?" that they would say, "Hey, aren't you in real estate?" And she would have known that she arrived. She wanted to build a brand so big that she could one day sell, which they did. And that she could be known as the expert, right, in her industry. It was her brand that was thought of first when you thought of real estate. So to incentivize her family to hit her work hours, Linda would always plan these great trips and vacations. So one year they hit their goals, and so her family, she and Jimmy were taking their family to Hawaii, the beautiful place you see on the screen right now. They went to check in at a beautiful resort in Hawaii. Linda walks up to the front desk and she said, "Hi, we're the McKissicks and we're here to check in for the week." The lady behind the desk says, McKissick, "Hey, aren't you in real estate?" And Linda's like, "I've arrived. Yes, this is amazing." The truth of the story is that she had, I think, been from Texas or known someone from Texas, but what does that matter, right? Thousands of miles across the ocean, someone knew the word real estate when they heard someone say McKissick. That is what you want for your brand, right? Many of you, that's what you're trying to achieve, maybe for your brokerage, if you are a leader on the call today. But you want to gain influence and authority so that people, when they think of a certain thing, they think of you. You may be asking, why do I need influence? I work with a lot of top realtors and real estate teams who will say, "I don't really need to do this, Dana. I have an established book of business. I've been selling for 15, 20, 25, 30 years. And I always say to them, while that might have worked in the past, that is not the landscape that we are in today. Just like YouTube didn't exist, in the past, and now it's the #1 search engine site. Like, things change, landscapes change, and today influence is the new currency. So regardless of the size of your database, you need to understand the importance of why you need influence. Influence is the new currency. It's truly the ability to sway and impact other people's opinions, their decisions, their actions. You can do it in a digital landscape through building a brand, through leadership and decision-making, trust and credibility. A great example of this, let's just use the digital landscape. Social media platforms are making it easier for individuals to build a large following, and then they exert their influence over a wide audience. And I'm not just talking about people who want you to buy their outfits that they post as an influencer. I'm talking about, like it or love it, the last election that happened. How many of you noticed several people of influence starting to sway other people's opinions one way or the other, because they held a large following. They held an influence on a digital landscape, and that made a difference in other people's opinions. It happens all the time with leaders who can effectively influence others. So it is very important in the space that we are in today. And I want to talk to you quickly about how are you positioning yourself in the marketplace. I'm going to give you 3 ways. I'm going to go through them quickly. However, authority now is more important than ever. And remember this, authority is when you have something to teach, not something to sell. And I understand what you're thinking. We are all selling something. We're selling houses, we're selling homes, we're selling lifestyles, we're selling, families, big whys happening. But the reality is that when you have authority, people don't just see you as selling something. They see you as you're teaching something. You're an expert, right? You are putting yourself in a category of one. Because if you are not in a category of one, then you're just a commodity. And by the way, people buy commodity on price, and it's usually not a high price. So you don't want to just be a commodity. You want to be in a category of one. You want to hold authority. If you are looking to learn a lot more about this, I highly encourage you to read the book, The Authority Advantage by Adam Whitty and Rusty Shelton. It is a fantastic book with lots of insight. So quickly, 3 ways. How do you gain influence and authority? And I'm gonna give you those now. Number 1, build your audience. This is the biggest, most important one. Can you even be found? Like, are you online? Are you on a platform? Are you on social media? Do you have a website? Is there a place where people can read your bio, understand who you are, see what your values are, see what you like to do for fun, see what you're an expert in? Do you have an expert bio? Not just a regular old bio, but do you have an expert bio with names and numbers that show that you are an expert in whatever the category is that you are wanting to be an expert in? I was filling out some information to actually speak for this event, and I was like, okay, what do I need to put in there to really help them understand what an expert bio is? So I pulled up our multi-year trends and saw that in 2024, the KW brokerages that I own closed $1.5 billion of volume last year. That's a great number to have in an expert bio, because if you're trying to gain authority and validity with someone and you can show them a great number, or maybe it's a great name of people that you've worked with, right? Like, you need to be able to have those to build your authority. But you also need to be found on social media. Number 2 is educating your audience. You need to be seen as an expert and a thought leader with something to teach. You're not just passing through information to your audience. You're actually explaining it. You are helping them understand it. You are interpreting it for them, for lack of better words. You can do that through creating 3 different types of content. These are the types of content that you're going to need to have: you-driven, news-driven, and relationship-driven. Your audience wants to know you. They want to know that you're a human, not a bot. They want to know what you like to do for fun, what your values are, all of those things. News-driven, you need to come up with what's happening in the industry. AI can really help us with this right now, by the way. But you want to be able to pass through relative, unbiased news information to your audience. And then relationship-driven, you want to really be able to build a relationship with them. The third is scaling your influence and authority. So after you build it, right? And then after you build it, then you educate it. Now you're going to scale your influence and authority. And you scale that by doing several things. You can write a book. You can start a podcast. You can start a YouTube channel. You might have PR done where you're getting media shots and content shots, photos taken of you when you are speaking or showing houses or holding a brokerage open house, whatever that is, right? You want to learn to scale your influence and your authority so that then you can leverage it for referrals. When Linda and I started our podcast, Everything Life in Real Estate, over 3 years ago, the entire reason that we did it, which by the way, I feel like we were ahead of the game because we didn't even know this yet. But the reason we did it is to gain authority and influence with people that were outside of our local market centers, right? We wanted to be that authority on everything life and real estate so that we could build relationships and deepen relationships by being able to do that. So there are several ways that you can scale your influence and authority after you start to build it and educate it. And here is the end all message. I know some of you might be thinking, well, that sounds egotistical, or I feel like a narcissist, or, whatever limiting belief that you have in your head right now. But here's what you need to know. Building your authority isn't about ego. It's about impact. When you have authority and you have influence, you can make a greater impact, which is what we are all in this to do, right? You can make an impact in your sphere with your database. You can make an impact in your market center. You can make an impact in your whole community or even around the country. But when you build authority, it isn't about ego, it's about impact. And some of you really need to remember that today. So I want to leave you with 2 questions that you can think about and some action items. Number 1, how committed are you to actually growing your influence for your business and for the future? Because those of you that are will take market share from the ones that aren't. I can almost guarantee you that. Same thing with AI right now. And then what's one way that you can begin to grow your influence and on what platform? You don't need to be on all the platforms, but you definitely need to be on at least one and go deep, and then you can expand from there. But by when? How can you begin to grow your influence? What platform are you going to do it on? And by when? I highly encourage you to get to growing your influence and gaining authority. I appreciate so much the 10 minutes that went by extremely quick, which I think I'm already over. But I'm happy to answer any questions. You can scan the QR code to follow me. I will answer my DMs. I will help any way that I can. I appreciate so much all of you who donated, who paid for this, who are investing in yourself to learn today. Thank you for making a difference with KW Cares. Thank you for being part of our culture. It is unmatched above anyone else. And I hope that this encourages you to go build your authority, build your influence. Influence is the new currency, and I can't wait to see what you do with it. Thank you so much and have a blessed day.
The market has changed. Hello everyone, my name is Caroline Kuo. I'm the founder and leader of the Caroline K. Kuo Group here in the San Francisco Bay Area, California. I also have the pleasure and honor to co-lead the Keller Williams Luxury Division alongside the fabulous, the phenomenal Brady Sandahl. First and foremost, before I begin today, thank you. By being here today, you're doing more than investing in your own growth. You're directly impacting and supporting KW Cares and all of our KW family members who need us most during times of illness, of unforeseen disaster, and unexpected hardship. And by golly, we've seen a lot of that lately. So thank you for choosing to be part of something bigger than yourselves. Now, for the next few minutes, let us focus on the top 5 marketing shifts every growth-focused agent should make. Now, what I'm going to share with you is not theory. We are seeing this out in the wild, out in the field, agents who may have plateaued, and they're implementing these shifts and strategies, and it's truly making a difference. The market has changed. The consumer has changed. And the most successful agents we're seeing right now who are not just surviving, they're actually thriving beyond 2025 and into 2026. They're the ones who are evolving on purpose. Evolving on purpose, not by chance. So let's jump in. Number 1 shift we're seeing in marketing is this: from mass appeal to micro niching. Moving from mass appeal to micro niching. Growth-minded agents these days are no longer trying to appeal to everyone, the masses, be a generalist, want to appeal to everyone. They're becoming known for something distinctive. So not just a zip code, a lifestyle, a value system, a design style, or a specific client profile, right? We're seeing a lot of people start changing their messaging into one of these silos. So when your brand stands for something specific, it becomes easier for the right people to find you. If your brand and your messaging is so specific to a certain niche, those people in those niches will find you. It's also easier for you to say no to people who may be, Mo would say, not a match. Isn't that great? So how do you do this? Ask yourself, if I were to examine my business, whom have I consistently attracted? And do I want to keep attracting them, right? Look at your past business. last year or your most successful year, or maybe 5, 10 years, and say, whom have I attracted? Whom have I had the greatest joy working with? And who do I want to attract more of? And what niche do I work with really, really, really well? And so identify a few of those. Then also look ahead and say, well, I love these people. Who else do I want to attract? Do I want to increase my price point? Do I want to start looking into investors? Do I want to start looking into global purchasers and global clients? Do I do well with relocation professionals? Do I do really well, want to go into the niche of mid-century architecture? Or do I work really well with multi-generational households? Do I serve the wine country or ranch and land or beach or vertical living? So start really looking at your past and start looking the people you want to serve in the past and people you want to serve in the future. Then ask yourself, what matters to each of these nations? What do they value in an agent? So once you know your ideal client demographic, invest time. You have to invest time into learning what they care about.
So we know you want to care about what the people you care about care about. What do they need to know? How do you need to show up so they contact you when they need a consultant or an advisor, that they choose you? This is where strategy comes in. So start aligning your visuals, your messaging, your content themes, and even your language to reflect what this ideal client cares about in each of these silos and niches. If your niche is, say, modern design, your feed should look and sound and have the language of that design. If your ideal client values privacy and discretion and security, and that's very common for the luxury profile, make sure that your tone and your messaging reflects that. Micro-niching gives your marketing identity, and identity gives you momentum. So not just for growth, for the sake of growing, but for the right kind of growth, all right? So that's number one. Number two, we're moving from vanity metrics to conversion metrics. This is really interesting stuff that's happening right now. So get ready to type or write. From vanity metrics to conversion metrics. We've all been conditioned to care about views and likes and how many followers, but likes don't generally equal to listings. They don't generally equal to signed agreements, right? Your content may be entertaining, but is it creating engagement and conversation and conversion? So when you start measuring differently, so when you're looking at when you're auditing your social media and your posts and all your platforms, ask, how many conversations did this post create? How many retained or nurturing relationships conversation did this create? How many appointments did this generate? Ask yourself those questions and look at each platform like you do with your profit and loss statement. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, audit all of them. What is your cost per lead? Not just financially, but also your time. If you spent so much energy in this one post and had very limited engagement, that's telling you something. So maybe you should pivot and look at something that's generated a lot of traction, a lot of conversation conversion. Maybe focus on that. So which posts are starting real conversations? This is where AI can become your ally, all right? This can save you time, so get ready. You can use ChatGPT to analyze your past captions, your post formats, engagement data. It can also analyze each one of your social profiles. And as we all know, the quality of the answer depends on the quality of the question. So the prompt that you give ChatGPT or whatever platform you use, Claude, it is critical. So if you want to evaluate your platforms, here's a prompt that could help you. So I'm going to give you 3 prompts, all right? Get ready. Number 1, analyze this real estate Instagram profile and content strategy and put in your URL, or it doesn't have to be Instagram, whatever profile, whatever platform you're investigating at that time. Identify what is preventing faster growth and provide a step-by-step action plan to increase followers and engagement organically within your local real estate market. Focus on client acquisition, potential, and brand positioning. Then it's going to give you a response. Review that. And then your next prompt could be this. Become an SEO expert for real estate and generate a 30-day content calendar optimizing for high traffic keywords in your niche. It could be home buying, selling, investors, global clients, and property trends, market data trends. Include local market optimization and seasonal buying patterns. Then investigate that, review that information, check for accuracy, and that it's on its right track. If it's not on the right track and it's not really what you want to see, ask it more questions, more prompt. And then your final prompt could be this. With the information that I've agreed to and you've provided, create 10 posts or 10 blogs or 10 reels, concepts for real estate professionals based on current trends. Include attention-grabbing hooks, compelling captions, trending audio suggestions, and strategic calls to action. Focus on content that showcases my expertise while remaining accessible to potential clients. That's your third prompt. My goodness, it will now create an entire plan for you. 30, 60, 90 days. AI can now summarize trends, flag top performing assets, and even draft content aligned with what your audience is showing you they want more of. Again, you can get really specific if you know the niches you want to serve, and you can use these prompts for every single niche that you serve. Very important. Make sure that whatever content you provide and that ChatGPT or whatever platform is sharing with you, you coach it that is truly genuine to you and what the messaging you want to convey and who you are. That's a danger of AI because it could lead you to certain personalities that is no longer you. But this is where the agent intelligence, the other AI comes in. You want to really check and put moats around it. Number 3, what we're seeing is people are moving from listings marketing to personal marketing. From listing marketing to personal marketing. Most agents are using social media like a property brochure. Just listed, just sold, just in contract. Those are important, right? You want to showcase your listings and give social proof of your success. And of course, to your listings, you want to give it attention. But most homes do not build loyalty. People do. Consumers want to know who you are. They're not following properties. They're following you. They want to know what you have to say. In a world where clients have unlimited options, personality and trust are the new differentiators. They have to trust you. They have to trust you. They have to like you first. They have to trust you. You have to trust that you'll be able to get them to goal. They have to trust that you'll be able to guide them in the way they need to be guided. And they want to trust that the information you give is accurate. So the best content today is something like this. You have to show them how you think, right? Here's what I suggest to my clients do for their property and why. This gives people a window into your process. It shows you how you think, how you advocate, how you lead. Start thinking about sharing behind the scenes decision making, such as why you priced a home a certain way, how you helped a client win in a multiple offer situation, why you advise another client why they shouldn't buy a home. These stories and case studies demonstrate value far more powerfully than a just listed reel. So other strong formats we've noticed is client success stories with a personal arc. I met this couple at a picnic 2 years ago, and today we're able to hand them the keys to the home of their dreams. And other FAQ style videos, frequently asked questions, FAQ style videos, like the top 3 questions buyers have this month, top 3 things the sellers need to consider during listing during the summer. When people feel like they know you and trust how you operate, they're far more likely to reach out, refer you, and choose you. Again, this is when micro-niching comes into play, and the content will help you. It shows how you think, why someone should choose you. Remember, trust is a currency of conversion. Number 4, we're almost done. Shift number 4 we're seeing from reactive posting to true intentional campaigns, from reactive posting to intentional campaigns. If your content strategy is, I'll post when I have time. Oh, this looks interesting. I'll post about it. It is not a strategy. It is inconsistent. And the platforms you're on will catch on to that and say, this person or this brand is inconsistent. What they have to say probably isn't significant. So we won't promote them. So you want to be intentional, and it shows the platforms that you are. So it is a sign that content is important to you and that you have something to say. Okay. When you post only when time allows, you're reacting. You're not being intentional. And this leads to inconsistency and diluted messaging. Top agents run campaigns. They align visuals, they align voice, they align outcomes. Every campaign supports one of 4 goals. It should support 1 of 4 goals. Number 1, brand clarity. Does it support brand clarity and brand messaging? Number 2, is it for lead generation? What is the purpose of this post? Is it for lead generation? Number 3 purpose is client education. Are you showing knowledge? Are you showing they can trust you? Or number 4, is it for personal connection? So for people to get to know you on a personal level. So all of your postings should support 4 of those things. 1 of 4, brand clarity, lead generation, client education, or personal connection. You do not need to post more. You just need to post more intentionally. And number 5, our final shift that we're noticing is from paid ads to own platforms. All right. Paid ads to own platforms. Paid ads are important. Yes, it should be a supplement, but they also exist in spaces and platforms you do not control. You are renting visibility. You're renting visibility. So don't rely all on that, because those platforms you don't own and algorithms change, platforms tighten reach, costs rise. Owned media, like your email list, your YouTube channel, follow Ken Pozak, your SEO rich website, your Google business profile, that all gives you control. It is equity you build, not rent you pay to be on somebody else's platform. So when someone joins your email list or subscribes to your channel, you have created a direct line of communication that is not filtered by an algorithm. These are people who have raised their hands to say, yes, I want to opt in to hear what this individual team has to say. This is now your direct line. This is why it's called a data bank, not a database, right? So every ad ends, but when your owned media, when nurtured, generates business on its own, no pun intended, it compounds, it builds credibility and access, and you control the messaging, when and how it's delivered. It is how you shift from chasing business to truly messaging to attract it. Paid media is a supplement. Owned media is your foundation. My time is up. I think I'm a little bit over. So to recap, number 1, shift from focusing on serving the masses to micro niches, from vanity numbers to conversion numbers, from property postings to curated content, from random to campaign, from rented to owned. I recognize this was brief. Each of these could be a full workshop. We may work on that, but I hope this points you in a fresh and strategic direction. You're going to have a thriving business. So your homework, you have homework, is choose one shift to commit to this quarter and go all in. And I'd love to hear about it. Agents winning in this market are not working harder. They're working smarter with intention, and by intention and not by choice. Thank you for watching, supporting KW Cares today. Multiply your business. This is our culture showing up. It's our culture in action, showing up for each other beyond the transaction. Thank you to Mo, the KW Cares team, the board, and all involved. I hope this helps your business in some way. So take care, be well, and let's thrive together.
You've probably heard agents say they're getting leads from YouTube, but maybe you're wondering how, and is it worth your time? Does it really work? I am here to tell you that yes, it works. Hi, I'm Sarah Maslowski, and I started making YouTube content in 2020. And since then, I have closed over 130 million in volume directly from YouTube. I'm going to break down exactly how YouTube helps me consistently attract relocation clients without paying for leads or dancing on TikTok. So let's start with the big question. Why YouTube? What makes it different from Instagram or Zillow leads or whatever shiny tool is trending this week? Here's the truth. YouTube is a search engine owned by Google. It's not just a social media platform. So that means when people go there with intent, they're searching things like best suburbs near Atlanta or moving to Gainesville, Georgia. Not only are you showing up on their YouTube searches, but because they're owned by each other, you're also showing up in Google searches, even when people are not on YouTube. That's a way different mindset than someone just scrolling past a just listed post on Facebook or Instagram. Now, these are relocation buyers. They are often researching months, if not years in advance. And because they've watched your videos, often for hours, like a ton of hours before ever reaching out to you, they feel like they already know you. By the time they book a call with you, they are a warm, qualified, loyal lead. Now, let's talk content, because you don't need viral videos. You need valuable videos. The most important types of videos I make are focused on relocation. Things like pros and cons of living in Cumming, Georgia, or best places to live near Atlanta for retirees. These videos answer the exact question someone moving to my area is already searching for. And if you're thinking, I can't think of these titles, or I don't know what people are searching for. Yes, you do. Think about all the great questions that people ask you in your area with the buyers that you're already working with. It's about positioning yourself as the local expert and guide. You're not selling, you're just informing them and giving them all the valuable information. Your videos become their virtual tour, you become their local friend and their insider connection. That is where the trust is built and you become the authority in your market. Also, don't overthink production. I started with my iPhone and still to this day, I film all my videos on my phone. I also started with a $20 microphone and a ring light. What matters most is giving people a lot of value, showing up consistent, and actually being helpful. All right, so you are putting your videos out there, but how do they actually turn into leads? And this is where a very, very simple system comes in. Every video has a call to action, and it sounds something like this. If you're thinking about making a move here, my team and I would love to help you. You can find my contact information directly below this video. That's it. That link then goes to a short form, just a few simple questions to qualify that lead, and then I book an appointment with them. From there, we are hopping on a strategy call on Zoom or Google Meet and having a virtual buyer consultation. I am learning all about their move, what's bringing them to the area, and what's important to them. This is them becoming an actual real client. It's not magic, although it feels like that sometimes. And the great thing is that there's no pressure, no cold calling, and I don't have to sell myself to them to choose me as their real estate agent of choice. The videos have already done that for me. So how do you actually start? Here's the simple version. You're going to create a YouTube channel with your name and city in the title. Next, you are going to choose 4 different content buckets. Your content buckets are going to be things like living in blank city, neighborhood spotlights, cost of living, things people need to know before moving to your area. You're going to write out your first script. You can either outline it or do it word for word, and it's going to have a hook, which is something that's going to make the viewer think, hey, I want to keep watching this video. Then you're going to provide massive value to them. And then you're going to end with that call to action. How can they get in contact with you, and why should they get in contact with you? You're going to make this really easy. You're going to film with your phone, and you're going to add B-roll where you can. Now, B-roll are things like the video clips or photos of things that you see as you're actually telling the person about this area. So for example, if you're talking about the really great park, you're going to actually show the really great park. If you're talking about how traffic stinks in the area, show them a view of what that traffic looks like. You're showing the viewer the thing that you're actually talking about in the moment so that you're being both their eyes and ears. And don't worry, it's going to feel overwhelming at first, but just know that you're building up this B-roll library over time. Now, after filming your video, you are going to leverage out the editing. This is the one thing that I highly recommend that you spend money on with this lead gen strategy. After you get that edited video back, you're going to upload it and optimize your title and description with keywords like moving to Gainesville, Georgia. And don't forget the thumbnail. The thumbnail is so important. It's like the book cover of your video. You want it to pique their attention and make them click on your video to learn more. Now, consistency is more important than perfection. I post one video a week, and over time, those video views compound. I still get leads to this day from videos that I made 2-3 years ago. Now, let's bust a few myths real quick. No, you do not need to go viral. In fact, most of my videos only get a few hundred views, and that's okay because I know that the people are watching them are likely to turn into actual clients. You do not need to be super techy. You can do this very low tech. You just need a phone, a microphone, and a light. You also don't need to post every single day. YouTube is not about volume, it's about value and visibility over time. The agents who succeed are the ones who stay consistent, they talk directly to their ideal client, and they stop trying to sound like everybody else. And speaking of everybody else or showing up on camera, yes, you are going to feel so awkward at first. You are going to cringe at your voice. You are never going to like the way you look on camera. You may hate the way everything looks in your background, and you're going to second guess yourself. Guess what? Do it anyways. You get better by doing it. I cringe at my very first videos, and I thought they were great. So go back and watch those. They're at the very, very beginning of my YouTube channel, and you can see how my videos have gotten better over time. YouTube has completely changed my business. I've closed over 130 million in volume from people who found me online. These are people that I did not know prior to them reaching out. And the best part, these leads trust me. They don't waste my time for the most part, and they are really warm leads. That is the power of building a personal brand and showing up with a ton of value. If you're an agent who's tired of the hustle and grind and you're ready to build something that lasts, I highly suggest that you deep dive into this. You can do this. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, showing up, and speaking directly to your future clients and building the business that you actually want.
Yes, this is their one, so it would actually, the two reasons that Robin's gonna be doing, I'll be there.
Kelly, how cool was that? How good was, just so you know, I cannot believe we're only charging $30. Just so you know, that segment alone was thousands and thousands of dollars.
So
You realize that? How
yeah, so these communities do very well.
You use. The only thing I know of everything you just said was the boomer, sooner, or whatever they do. That's the only thing I know.
That is Mo's team, so we got to give it up to. We love some Mo, you know. So I guess that's right now our number one team for this segment. But two, as you know, this would not in a second and say I heard it too.
Well, so I got distracted by the chat. Barbara asked, "What time is the break?" We apparently.
Feel free to reach out to me. Would love to help. Bye.
What I love about that video is that Sarah and her team are serving.
Got a call from my alarm company. They had sensed flames in the laundry room.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, everyone. I am Seychelle Van Pool, and I have the distinct pleasure of running the Van Pool Properties Group out of Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And today, we're going to focus on what to do when listings go quiet. We're going to give you the exact 6 moves to get those sellers' homes sold. I'm a Texas native, and I cut my teeth here in the North Texas real estate market by getting into the business right before the crash in 2006. And actually, that's why I'm really excited to be talking to you today. Half of the country is moving into a buyer's market. And if you're not already there, the odds are in the next 1 to 2 years, you likely will be. So if you're not in the market yet, don't worry, this is going to apply to you too. And you know what's interesting is if you've been in the business less than 14 years, you actually haven't experienced a true buyer's market. So I'm excited to talk to you because in Dallas Fort Worth, we actually are in a true buyer's market, and we've been shifting this way since 2023. And our reality is where overpriced listings sit, sellers are really nervous, and agents are exhausted from either not knowing what to do or over explaining what clients should be doing. But here's the truth. You can still win with sellers if you use the right playbook. Actually, it's the position I love because sellers need you more today than ever before. And so we're going to walk you through the exact 6 must-have moves that you need to do to take your listings from stale to sold. And when we're done, I want to encourage you to go check out our podcast that I have with my fellow co-hosts, the Empire Building Podcast, because each week we bring you incredibly tactical tips about building your big profitable business and an even bigger life. Let's dive in. So the first thing you need to know is that price solves everything. And if you remember nothing else, I want you to remember this. You cannot outmarket a bad price. You can change the photos, you can rewrite the copy, you can boost the ad, but if it's overpriced, your seller is invisible to motivated buyers because here's the truth. They can walk down the block and go get another home for less price. So if your sellers are struggling with that, we're going to help give you the second step, which is we're going to give you some data points that you need to take with you to help solve the seller's emotion and getting out of the emotional state of the money and into the logical space of making a decision to help them get into action. And so I want you as a real estate agent to stop looking at sold data when your homes are sitting on the market. It's old news. It's what a buyer was willing to pay 30 to 45 days ago. In a shifted buyer market, we look at 2 key things. We look at active listings on the market, which tells you who your sellers are competing against. And we are now a team. So we and our sellers are competing against those other homes on the market. And the other thing we want to look at is the homes that have gone under contract. What were buyers willing to put offers on and what made that home or price unique that we need to be paying attention to? And when we use data, we use what we call critical mass numbers. So here are the numbers that you are going to use in conversation with your client to help them understand how their home is performing in the market. The first thing we look at is if we don't have any showings in 14 days, we have a pricing problem. What that means is that real estate agents are literally telling their buyers that home is overpriced. It's not even worth your time to go see that home. So no showings means we have a pricing problem. If we have 10 showings and no offers, you are likely really, really close. You're probably within 3% of pricing striking distance. So if we have 10 showings and no offers, we're probably looking at about a 3% adjustment to be able to get to where we need to go to attract those buyers. And if we have 30 days and no offers, what that's saying is we've lost buyer urgency. Buyers don't feel like they need to jump off the fence to get your home. And if you've made it all the way to the 60-day mark without adjustments, now you're actually considered what people would call in a buyer's market a stale comparable or a stale comp. So we always want to make sure that we are having very proactive weekly conversations with our sellers about data and what this is telling them in order to be able to help them jump off the fence and make educated decisions about their property. The third thing we want to do is focus on communication. We need to set the table. So this is where most agents fail. You cannot drop a price bomb in a casual call. So instead, what you're going to do is you're going to schedule a time with both of the sellers or however many sellers there are. You're going to send them data that we just discussed in advance that gives you recommendations, and you're going to open with confidence. In the call, you're going to say, good news, we are getting attention, our marketing is working. And then you're going to follow the data trail. We have not had showings. Buyers are seeing it online, but not scheduling. So we need a potential 5% price adjustment to get back on the radar. Or if we have showing but no offers, right? We're close. A 3% price shift will likely get us into offer territory. And if that doesn't work, we're going to reassess and we're going to evaluate what we need to do next. Now, number 4 in this is you need to be ready for objections and pushback. Okay. Most sellers will say, oh, that's great. I don't want to do a 3 or 5% adjustment. Let's just drop it by $5,000 and wait and see. And here's the challenge with that is there are 2 reasons we do price adjustments. The first is we want to reach new buyers and reposition the home. And a $5,000 price drop likely doesn't do either of those things. So we need to make a move that actually gets results. So if we're still getting resistance after that conversation, then what we could do is we could do a private offering to everyone that's seen the property and see if that gets somebody to jump off the fence to make an offer on our property. And we could try that for 3 to 4 days. And if buyers don't bite with our private offering, we haven't lost time and done tiny little paper cuts that become very painful over time to the seller. And then we will go public with a stronger price change in order to reposition the property and get more attention. The 5th thing, and I think we all need this in our life, is compassion. Right? This is not the seller's fault. It is the market's fault. This is not your fault as the agent. It's the market's fault. And so we want to lead with care. This is not about blame. And so some of the language we like to use with our clients is like, my job is not to decide the market. We don't determine it, but we are here to interpret it for you. Another thing you might say is the seller who adjusts first always do better than those who follow the market down, right? As a seller, I can't control if my neighbor has a baby that's going to be due in a month or a new job in a city they have to get to, and they're more motivated than maybe we are. So we need to get out in front of the competition in order to be able to win. You're guiding them through uncertainty, so don't downplay the emotion, help lead them through it. And then the 6th thing you want to know is the close. When the seller says yes, you move fast. So once your seller says, yes, let's do the price change or let's make an adjustment, do not wait. Have paperwork ready and send it to them. Get that adjustment signed, relaunch the listing immediately, and then you're going to send them an updated net sheet with clear next steps of what's going to happen. And I think it's always important on that call to be able to say, you know, I know this was a tough call, but this positive move positions you to win. We're going to attract serious buyers and we're going to get you the best net price possible. Because ultimately, when we have to make pricing adjustments and adjust to the market, that doesn't mean failure. As agents, we need to realize that that means leadership and that means market mastery. It is our job to help them interpret the market and get them into action. And so here's the challenge I would give you today. If you have sellers out there that are sitting in stale, I want you to go review your listings today. I want you to decide who is past the critical mass of dates and who needs you to stop holding and start interpreting the market. This is how we lead, this is how we win, and this is how we build empires and successful sellers, one honest conversation at a time. Thanks for joining me. Hope it was helpful, and go out there and get those homes sold.
Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. My name is Gene Rivers, Keller Williams Realty, the Rivers team in Tallahassee, Florida. My wife Rebecca and I have been in this business for 36 years. And we have, with our team, done over 6,000 transactions, and slightly more than half of those have been listings. So the topic I'm going to talk to you about today is listings. But the first topic I want to talk about is the purpose of this, of me doing this, and of you being here, and it's KW Cares. I don't need to tell you what's been going on in Texas and in other parts of the countries, and it's not just floods, it's earthquakes, it's personal accidents. KW Cares steps in and helps our family without regard all over the place, and I'm so proud to be in a company that has this mindset and this attitude, and this is you I'm talking about too. because it's time for you to step up. We have a goal of $350,000 that we're trying to raise. So there's a QR code. You can go online and make your donation while I'm talking, or after I'm talking, or after the whole thing is over. But please, please, please support KW Cares. All of us have a time coming where we need help, and we don't know when, but we know that KW Cares can be counted on. So, having said that, let's talk about listings. Around the country, around the industry, you all know this, inventory has been building and building and building. And there are some boards that seem to be saturated. The amount of listing inventory seems to be peaking. There's just no more to add to it. However, it looks like nothing is selling, and that's not true. There are properties that are selling in every board. And the funny thing is, around the country where they have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months of inventory, when you look at what is sold, the days on market almost across the board is 50, 60, 70 days. So the point of that is that everything is selling for the most part in 90 days or less. The stuff in the board that does sell is 90 days or less. And you need to remember this issue for something else we're going to talk about later on. So when you look at boards also, membership is going down in many parts of the country. Membership. I'm in North Florida. We cover with our offices and our agents, we cover from Jacksonville down to St. Augustine and all the way over through Tallahassee to Panama City Beach and the 30A Destin Market. So we got you covered if you want property in Florida, northern part of Florida. But when we look at our boards, one of our boards is down by 24% in agent count from the beginning of the year. That means, no question about it, that agents have a bad mindset. They're looking at the market and it's too tough, it's too hard, I don't think I can do this, and they're exiting. This is when you take market share. As a business owner, you should recognize when times are good, and this happened in the last 2, 3, 4 years ago, agents could get a listing and not only would it sell, it would get multiple offers and over list price. In that kind of a market, everybody looks like a genius, and they're not. They're just lucky. But we know for a fact that the agents that know what they're doing, now I'm back talking about the built up inventory. The stuff that is selling by professionals. Professionals. They know that what a seller wants to do is sell. And they help them sell. And they tell them about price and condition, and they don't always want to hear it. But if they're motivated to sell, they'll put it aside. The focus won't be money. It'll be getting it sold. And that's what top professionals do. They tell people the news they need to hear, and they do the work necessary to get it out there and get it sold. So I want you to understand this. You can get listing after listing after listing and sell them, sell them, sell them. Do not think the board is going to be the way your inventory looks like. Now, here's what you need to focus on. If you're sitting here and you have listings that aren't selling, you got 8 listings, and you're listening to me and you're going, I don't want another listing. You need to make up your mind about this. You need to go back and tell all your sellers in price and condition exactly what they need to do to sell, or tell them you're not going to keep disappointing them day after day with them thinking it's going to sell when it won't. So you need to get out of those relationships. They're not healthy relationships. And I literally mean this. They think something's going to happen and it's not. And they'll end up hating you and bad-mouthing you. And you're not trying to disappoint them and act like you don't care. But the fact is, the most caring thing you can do is tell them the truth. And if they won't do it, exit. Now, the thing you need to focus on about sellers is 2 groups of people. 2 groups of people. The first one is people that you know who know you. People that you know who know you. There's some kind of a relationship there. We call it those sphere or met, whatever you want to call them. But it's people that you know who know you. And what do we know about those people? It's about referrals. It's about referrals. The other group is motivated strangers. Motivated strangers. So I'm going to work people that I know for referrals. And of course, if they want to sell, I'll help them sell. But that's not the money shot. When you work your referrals, when you work your Mets, it's about referrals. When you go after strangers, they've got their hand up to some extent that they're motivated. Open house visitors could be a buyer or a seller. People that are expired clearly wanted to sell their house. People that are for sale by owners clearly want to sell their house. People that are probate attorneys have houses that need to be sold. Divorce attorneys have clients who need to have property sold. Human resource directors, builders, land developers. There's a large number of people that are professionals, business people who need real estate sold, and they're not in real estate. You need to focus on working with people that are motivated to sell real estate. When you think about your Met database, I want you to think about the data. The data. This is a hugely, hugely important graph. This is from Gary's Vision speech this year, family reunion. Look at the seller interviews. Way down at 2007, it was 69%, but now it's 81% of sellers make one phone call. One phone call. Now, when agents see that, I've trained a lot about this for years. As you can see, this has been going on for years. Agents always say, well, that means you got to get the call. And they totally miss it. It does not mean that. What it means is you got to make the call, because they're only going to call one person. And if you're going to wait and play the odds that they'll call you, you're going to lose more than you're going to win. Sure, your loyal fans that you keep in touch with are going to call you, but a bunch of other people that you haven't spoken to in 5 years since you sold their house, you don't see them, you don't talk to them, and you're not mailing them, and they're not going to call you, because an agent is going to reach out to them and catch them on the web or in a door knocking or mail or whatever. But they're going to beat you to it. Now, when you think about that reality, so what do I do? How do I get in the zone for getting those opportunities? Well, here's the 1-2 punch on the data. How sellers found their agent. Number one, a referral. That's 38%. Number 2 is use the agent before. You add up number 1 and number 2, that's 66% of all seller appointments. 2/3 of all seller appointments are in your database. 2/3 of seller appointments are in your database. If you look at the rest, the minute you pass use the agent before, you got a website, it's 4%. And from that point down, it's 4% or less. So the money shot is clearly with your database. It is not these other strategies. And I am not saying the other strategies don't work. But when you want to get the best return on investment of your time and money, you want to focus on this. Now, most agents are thinking about their database as, well, there's not that many of them that are selling. That's absolutely true. If you have 200 Mets in command, and that is this gold standard for new agents, some of you have thousands of names in your database. But if you have 200 names in your database and the turnover rate is a normal year, it'd be 6%. That'd be 12 of them are selling a year. This year, it's more like 3%. 3%. So you got about 6 people selling this year. But what is a referral? A referral is someone that you know has people that they know that you don't know. And their 200 will also have a 6% or 3%. So they've got 6, 8, 10, 12 people that they know are moving. And when there are 10 or 12 that are moving, they won't know all of them, but there's a good chance they'll know 2 or 3 of those people that are actually moving in their world. Now, I want you to do the math on this. If 200 people in your database have their own database of 200, 200 people times 200 people is 40,000 people. 40,000 people. Yes, 40, get your calculator out, it's in your phone. So 40,000 people will have a 6, 5, 4, 3% turnover rate too. So 40,000 people times 6% is 2,400 transactions. This isn't theoretical, this is what will happen. But this year, the reality is about half that. So it'll be 1,200. Now, if you're an agent and you're a single agent, you're looking for 30 or 40 deals a year max, because that's all you have the time for. And there'll be at least 1,000 transactions that you can tap into through 200 people. And what do you do to get it? You do mail, call, see. Mail, call, see. If you're going to call all of them, and I'd recommend this highly, at least 4 times a year, every quarter. You got your winter call, your spring call, your summer call, and your fall call. If you do those calls every 90 days, you will educate them. You will start to become top of mind, that you're looking for people that they know that are having a life event like a birth, a death, a divorce, a job loss, job promotion, whatever, because that's what creates events, and you're going to educate them in that. You're going to find the business. You're going to find it. Our business for a long time was in the 70% range of referrals, because that's what we work. And we do it by mail, call, see. So you got to mail them 3 times a month. That's 36 times a year. When I say this, it's mainly email, but it would be a personal deed anniversary date card and a personal birthday card. And if you want to send a birthday card and they have kids, it's better to send it to their kids than them. They'll be more impressed, right? Now, when you think about the C, you need to try to see them at least twice a year. But if you've got a bigger database, you're not going to see 400, 500, 600 people. But what you need to see is the top 100. The top 100. When I say the top 100, I'm talking about people that have already referred you or that have influence and authority, meaning they have a high proclivity for doing this for you if you can get them to be thinking about you. So, and you can do that. And you're going to do that because the 100 people, guess what that is? That's 2 lunches a week. 2 lunches a week. Every week in your database, you should have 2 people that have power or influence that you will take to lunch. And I'm telling you right now, that will change your business. That will radically change your business. If you start spending time with people that are influential or that have power to tell people who to use. A probate attorney can tell people to hire you. A divorce attorney can tell people to hire you. An HR director will tell people to hire you. This is the reality of how you work people that you know. You got to stay in touch with them. You got to tee up your conversations with marketing, and then you need to call them. If you've got 200 and you call them 4 times a year, that's 800 by 50 weeks. That is 16 calls a week. This is not hard to do. But there are too many people that are not calling, they are not mailing enough, and they're definitely not seeing people. So this is my little speed dating course on listings, and I want you to remember, we're here to raise money for KW Cares. So get off your butt and get some listings so you can make more money to make a donation. My name is Gene Rivers, and I wish you the best finish of this year possible for you. See you later. Bye.
Regarding that, I know in real estate, hi there, I'm Bridget Potterton, certified divorce real estate expert with Keller Williams San Diego Metro. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 tips for realtors who are taking divorce listings. Now we've got 10 tips and 10 minutes, which is not a lot of time. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is communication and neutrality. The first thing I get asked a lot about is, Bridget, how do I talk to people who are going through a divorce if I'm going to help them list their house? Well, you need to be really careful. I don't look at these people as leads. I know in real estate, we talk about leads, and then we talk about clients and then closings, but you really have to think of them as people who are going through very difficult time. And you have to approach them with care and candor. So you want to be really careful when you're dealing with those people. The second thing you want to do is establish clear communication channels for all the parties. So you're just like your traditional clients, you're going to ask how you like to be communicated with, when you like to be communicated with, and you are going to want to document all your communication with the clients. Always assume that whatever you say to one or the other could get back to somebody, or that you might have to be called in to testify regarding that case, or something having to do with the sale of the home. So always make sure you have great documentation. You also really need to read the room with these types of emotional and volatile transactions. And what I mean by that is you need to understand where the parties are at. Are they getting along? Are they not getting along at all? Are they not allowed to speak? Are there restraining orders, or should there be restraining orders? You need to be very, very careful when communicating with the parties. I personally get almost all of my divorce listings from the family law community, divorce attorneys in particular, and mediators. So most of mine are pretty high conflict. So I never communicate with the parties together. I know that that is kind of common practice for some realtors, because they want to be seen as a neutral, which we'll talk about in a minute. But you really need to understand what the situation is before you walk into it. If you're in communication with the attorneys, ask them for the details of the case prior to starting communication with the parties. Number 3, this is a big one. Remain neutral and objective. I know that neutral sounds like, well, duh, that should be easy, right? But it actually can be quite challenging in these situations. See, neutrality does not necessarily mean communicating with the parties together or equally as in the same amount of time. You may have one client that on the DISC profile is a high C and needs a lot of details. And then you might have one that's a high D that just wants the facts. Get me on and off the phone in 2 or 3 minutes. So it's not always going to be equal communication as far as time frame. Different parties may have different needs, but you want to make sure that you remain objective. Your clients are going to tell you probably some pretty horrific things about the opposing party. The attorneys may tell you some pretty bad stuff too. You need to be aware that your job is to take care of the transaction, regardless of what one or the other did to each other. So make sure that you are maintaining that neutrality and not going on one side or another. It can be very easy to fall into that rabbit hole, and you want to be very, very careful with the parties. It's also important to understand what your role is. See, I'm brought in as a certified divorce real estate expert almost always as a third party neutral. So that means I need to work with both parties. You may not be. So make sure that you understand what your roles and your boundaries are. The legal aspects. So there's a saying, stay in your lane. As realtors, we often walk that fine line of giving legal advice when talking to our clients about real estate transactions, but we know what that line is and we know not to cross over it. When you're working in family law transactions, it gets a lot more sticky because you have the real estate law and then you have the family law aspect. And even if you've personally been through a divorce or had a lot of divorce listing experience, you want to be really careful not to give your clients legal advice, even if you've been through the same thing and you're just trying to be helpful. So always refer them back to their mediators, attorneys, or judges, and let them talk about the legal aspects, okay? The next one is, who is your client? See, I'm here in California, and in California, my client is the titled spouse, meaning whoever is on title. So if we have a situation where maybe only one party is on title, who's my client? Well, the attorneys may expect me to be a third party neutral because that's why they bring me in, but the real estate law says my client is the one on title. So how do I do that? It's a very tricky situation, and you can see that there's a lot of circumstances that in traditional real estate we don't deal with on a day-to-day basis, whereas in family law this is normal. These are the types of issues that we deal with all the time in these cases. So it's important for you to understand each case. What is your role? whether it's a mediation or a high conflict mediation, low conflict, or a litigation. What is your role and who are your clients? Emotional challenges. Now, I can't end this without talking about the emotions, right? That is one of the things that makes divorce listings so complex, is you're not always dealing with common sense or people who are able to make good decisions. Sometimes they feel like their back is up against a wall. They feel like they are overwhelmed. They're in fight or flight mode. So we don't always see the best in people, but you have to remember that these divorce listing transactions, it's not about whether your clients are being difficult to work with or not. It is about walking these people through one of the most difficult times in their life. And sometimes the sale of the home is the thing that they dread the most, because that home has been maybe a comfort source for them while they've dealt with this transition. So practice empathy, be patient when dealing with clients, make sure that you set the right expectations for them so that there's no surprises. Particularly people with children and children who have special needs. With children with special needs, unfortunately, a lot of my clients that are going through a divorce do have children with special needs, and they do need accommodations for showings, for schedules, for things like that. So make sure you are very well aware of that and you work with both parties to ensure that the children's needs are being met. And then another one, understanding that timelines, they may shift. You have to be flexible. There are a lot of things that come up in a divorce case that have nothing to do with the sale of the house, but can deeply impact the sale. So you want to make sure that you're staying in touch either with the attorneys or with the parties as to what's going on and how that could affect your timelines. Disagreements are common. Don't panic. They're relying on you to help them get that through. And you may not be able to resolve every single thing today, but maybe you can resolve one small piece to move the needle forward each day. And then unique challenges. Certainly working in these highly complex transactions do bring a lot of unique challenges. One example is coordinating showings. For some situations, you may have a seller where they're both out of the house. Well, that makes it easy. Oftentimes you may have an in-spouse, meaning one of the parties still lives in the home, and you may be coordinating showings with them. Or you could have a situation where we call nesting, where maybe one party lives in the house part of the week, the other party lives in the house part of the week, or they switch off every other week so that the kids can maintain the residence full time and the parents trade off. Those can definitely be challenging when it comes to scheduling showings. So make sure you've got a really good system for scheduling those kinds of things and knowing who needs to be when, where. Also with negotiations, you need to make sure that you involve all the decision makers, and it might be more than two. Sometimes there are more than just the X's on title. So know who's going to be involved in the transaction and make sure they get involved. And then develop a marketing strategy that considers the sensitive nature of these types of sales. If there's a restraining order, one party may not be comfortable with you doing open houses. So you need to have a plan on how that's going to work. And then lastly, be discreet. Under no circumstances should you ever disclose that your listing is a divorce listing. That can affect the value of the home. It can affect the stress level. You want to protect your client's privacy as best as you can. So don't disclose that it's a divorce listing. Now, those are our 10 tips in 10 minutes. I would love to share with you more. Unfortunately, we're out of time. But you're welcome to reach out or have your operating partner in your office reach out to me, and I'm happy to teach a 1-hour class in your market center or in your region. Thank you so much for the time. Here's some ways that you can connect with me, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Households are rented today. This next transfer of wealth that we're in today. Hey everybody, my name is Dan Ihara and I'm the leader of KW Real Estate Planner. Today we're going to talk about securing massive listings with real estate planning. Let's go. So here's a big opportunity. According to NAR, National Association of Realtors, they're telling us 59% of all listings are baby boomers and their parents. Holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking for listings, if you're not looking at baby boomers and their parents and finding their problems and solving, you might be missing the mark here. And also 39% of all those buyers are boomers as well. So here's a real opportunity. This next transfer of wealth that we're in today is going to transfer over $70 trillion. So here's a question for you. Do you want to be in the middle of that transition and transaction, or do you want to be on the outside looking in?
If they're not sure about.
First question for you is, have you ever heard of a family fight over real estate after their parents die? Believe it or not, the statistic says 70% of families are going to have a family dispute after their parents pass away. So the question is, why does that happen? Well, it's because you can't divide real estate. But we're in the field of real estate and sales, so maybe we can help.
I think he's qualified based on.
This opportunity is enormous, right? You just imagine the numbers. It's 44 million households are rented today. 34% of all households are rental. But here's the good news. The good news is also, not only is 1 in 3 homes a rental that you drive by on the way home, but the average landlord, once you find them, they got 3 properties. So if you're looking for listings and you're looking for people with the most amount of equity and wealth in real estate, why would you look anywhere else? It's the baby boomer and their parent that have amassed amount of wealth. You see, they actually own 50 to 60% of all the rentals in the US today. And the good news is most of them, they don't have a mortgage. They have no debt at all. But here's the thing, they don't want to manage it anymore. They came into the life after your 60s and 70s on up, you get to a point where you don't want to manage it anymore. And you're also worried at the end of the day when you're gone, or your kid's going to fight. They're concerned about their kids sharing fairly. And that's the reason why that statistic is there, that 70% of families fight. So here's the challenge with investment properties. Right now they own them, but they're a burden. Most of our clients, they have more money than they can spend. By the way, that's your target. The wealthy older adult that has more money than they can spend. They have investment properties and they're just tired of owning them. It's become a burden. We call them the terrible T's, the tenants, the toilets, the trash, the taxes, and termites. And now we add the I to that. Insurance. Insurance costs are rising. And they also don't want to pay capital gains taxes. And they're worried about their kids fighting. Right now, what's happening in the US today is the cost of owning these investment properties are rising, but the income is not. What happens when your expenses rise faster than your income? You have a depreciating asset, or an asset that maybe doesn't have the same cash flow that it used to. So here's the solution for investors, right? When you utilize a 1031 exchange, you can actually unlock wealth and increase cash flow. You can sell an asset that's not generating much money and they make more money for them. You're going to be a hero. Clients are going to love you. Or they're going to sell it and they don't want to pay capital gains tax, so you're going to sell it and buy something else of equal or greater value. They get to keep all of their gain. You got state and federal taxes to be concerned with, and you're going to want to learn how that works. Some are just relocating that asset, moving it from one city to the next, maybe from a higher tax state to a lower tax state, maybe for a property that maybe they want to spend more time with their loved ones. And then preventing family disputes. Did you know you could sell one property and buy 3 through a 1031 exchange? Because what if you had 3 children and only 1 asset to sell? You could sell it and spread it out evenly. And it's obviously a great way to create a legacy. And you can do this while you're alive. What it also does is it creates freedom from worry for the older adult. Again, remember, this client has assets in real estate and they just don't need them anymore, but they're concerned about them. And we can help them unlock that wealth and reposition it to what matters most to them.
Yes,
So the solution is you got to start with knowledge, right? You have to understand some things. Understand how to bulletproof a 1031 exchange. You see, when you come into our community, KW Real Estate Planner, we're going to teach you all of the ways that we've done this. By the way, I've sold over 400 1031 exchanges, and I've never failed one. So far, I don't know if there's any other residential realtor that has done over 400 of these and never failed. I'm going to show you in our systems how we've done this, how you can bulletproof that 1031 exchange. But before you get to the 1031 exchange, you got to understand capital gains tax. Why? Because if there's no capital gains tax, you don't have to do a 1031 exchange. Allow them to just redeploy their funds in any way they want. Then you're going to want to learn an asset performance test. It's the way to determine the performance of their asset. You see, most people don't know what it is. If you were to ask your clients what's your cap rate, capitalization rate, they're not going to know what it is. And so our goal is to educate you and train you on how to do the math, do the simple math. We'll give you a spreadsheet. When you join our community, you get a calculator and you plug everything in and it shows the client how it's performing. And then the next question is, if you could make more money, would you? Yeah, they usually do. So what we do is once we measure everything, we share them options with them. We add some of the solutions that they might be able to use. And then we create a pre-inheritance plan. A pre-inheritance real estate plan is a plan such that they can determine who's going to get what before they're gone. And this is how you prevent the family dispute. See, in our community, we're on a national mission to keep families together, to prevent family disputes, and to remove the burden of taxes that are hitting these families at a massive rate. Then we're going to prove we'll have you proven questions that are going to secure more appointments and agreements. This is how we built the model, by not telling people what to do, but by asking them. See, I figured it out. There's only 7 human beings that any realtor will meet, and there's only 5 to 7 questions you need to ask to get an appointment and then to get an agreement. See, in the world of real estate, when I found out 20 years ago, is for me to have a $1 billion business, I'm going to have to get really good at converting people leads to appointments and appointments to agreements. We're going to show you how that works in our community. Very simple, but we don't do that by telling somebody what to do. We do it by asking them what they'd like to do. Then you learn to master the art of question-based conversation. How do you have a conversation where it's all based on questions, right? Not statements. See, because when I ask a question, I can't be wrong. When I ask a question, I learn things. When I ask a question, they trust me. If you want to build trust, learn to ask the right questions. See, one of our masterminds, Gary wrote this out, drew this up, and I took a picture because he looked at me and he said, "What's this?" I said, "Well, I don't know. What is it? It looks like an ugly chart." So, well, Gary says, this is a forest, and you see the one in the middle? That's the big tree. Well, yeah, we get that. But he says, you know how it got so big? It got there first. It took all the water, the nutrients, and the sun. No other tree could get as big as it. And this is your opportunity to be the first, because in our country today, there are not very many people elevating their knowledge about cost basis without capital gain tax, without asset performance tests. We're not talking that language. Many people aren't, but people in our community, 400 of them, they are. And they're winning in a big way. So if you'd like to join, click on the QR code. You're going to get 3 months of free, well, not free, 3 months of 20% off. That's right. Instead of $199, it comes out to about $150. What you're going to do is you're going to learn questions and conversations to get you appointments and agreements in a number of areas. In the area of senior relocation regarding their primary residence. Where does an older adult go if they can't stay home? What are the questions they have? Well, where do I go? How much does it cost? What does life look like? Who can help me? These are all the solutions you can provide, and we'll teach you that in 3 months of training. 1031 exchange and DSTs is for the investor. Trust sales and probate sales, why? Because 2.1 million older adults are going to pass away this year, and 80% of them own real estate. That's 1.68 million families that you can serve. You can provide a meaningful relationship with them, and the byproduct is you're going to sell a lot of real estate. Lastly, divorce, because half of the marriages end in that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for listings and you're looking for systems, proven systems, 20 years of building these systems, come and join us. We encourage you to join our movement to keep families together and keep their money in their pocket. We'll talk to you soon. Aloha.
and we think about our business that way, it forces us to. I love it. I love it.
Let's bring Mutual Omaha on.
Let's do it.
Marrow transplant, and he is.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Reynolds, CEO of Empower Home. In 2024, our team had the honor of serving many families, thousands of families. We ended up doing over 944 million in sales volume. And this year we're on pace to do well over $1 billion in sales volume. And so I am super excited to talk with you today about mindset and motivation. Something I believe is everything in today's market opportunity. So we're here today to grow together and ultimately to give back because our KW family shows up for each other in times of need. Let's talk mindset. I know, based on my now almost 2 decades of experience in the real estate market, that today's market is the best opportunity we've seen in 14 years. Yeah, you heard me right. This market is a massive opportunity. It's a massive opportunity, but it actually starts with your mindset and your view of the market. So how do you look at today's market, right? Are you listening to all of the articles? Real estate recession, largest downturn in a decade. Headline in terms of what is being said about today's market. Are you listening to that? Or are you seeing the opportunity that exists in today's market? It starts with our mindset, how we view it. You want to remember that the market doesn't determine if we're successful. It determines how we're successful. The market really is just a dictator of how we respond, what activities we do, what actions we take. That's really the only thing that is important to know about the market is the how we adjust to it, not if we're successful. But again, it starts with our mindset. How do you view today's market? You know, with our mindset, we have 2 choices. And really, we have these choices in every single market, but we especially have those choices in a market like today. The 2 choices are we can decide to be a victim to the market. What does that mean? That means that we blame the market for not growing. That means that we use the market as the excuse as to why we're not able to serve as many people. That's a victim mindset, meaning that we are a victim to the market. Or we can choose to have a growth, or as I say, accountable mindset, to where we only use the market to dictate how we determine our success in today's kind of market. We get to choose. We get to choose, are we going to be victims or are we going to grow in today's market? Again, it's all your choice, right? And the choice of that is what we allow into our mindset. So I want to encourage you to protect your mindset. And the first way that you do that is that you protect what you read. You choose every day what you read. You choose the social media platforms that you're in. You choose who you're letting impact you. If every article, every post, every conversation is about, woe is us, this market, okay, there's less people moving, every conversation is more challenging. Okay, if those are the conversations you're having, if those are the articles that you're reading, it's almost impossible to have an accountable growth mindset when we're letting those kind of things into our mind. So protect it. Choose to be part of groups, part of organizations, part of teams, part of people, like groups of people that see the market as an opportunity, not a hindrance to your success, right? You want to be reading things on how those are winning in today's market. As an example, Empower Home is up over 30% year over year. Yes, you heard it right. Over 30% year over year. But you know what? I'm not obsessing over all of these social media groups that are talking about a recession in the real estate market. I'm not allowing the stats of today's market determine me and my agent's view of what the market is. But it takes my choice. I'm choosing to surround myself with positivity. I'm choosing to surround myself with people that are taking action, that are adapting to today's market and adapting their how. And you get to choose that too. And again, it starts with our mindset. I will tell you, I haven't always been good at this. When the decline first started in terms of the number of people moving, when the decline first started, I will tell you that I used a lot of the market data, the articles that impacted my mindset. So that was like, what, mid 2020 or mid 2023? And I saw my business decline. And a lot of people will say, well, less people were moving. That's why your business declined. Well, again, that's victim, right? That's being victim to the market, not accountable to the market. When I look back and I looked at who I was listening to, what I was reading, who I was surrounding myself with, and the actions that I was taking, I was more informing the team all about how horrible the market is versus educating and empowering my team and myself on how we can thrive in today's market. And I saw my business decline. We made less of an impact in the later 2020, in 2023, even in 2024. In 2025, though, still a decline in people moving. It's arguably much harder in terms of days on market, in terms of getting homes sold, right, in 2025, but yet we're growing. So what changed? It's the same leader, but what changed is my mindset around the opportunity that exists in today's market, and that I need to protect what I allow into my mind. So I want to encourage you, be like me in terms of adjust. If maybe you were like me in terms of using the market as a sort of crutch, as an excuse as to why we're not growing, okay, you can choose to change today. Just like I chose to change about 9 months ago. I realized it's all in my mindset and how I view it, and I protected it. And I want to encourage you to do the same. So protect your mindset. Now let's talk about how to stay motivated in today's market, okay? And guys, today's market, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's a challenge, okay? It's hard, but it's simple. It's simple, okay? The first way to stay motivated is to truly understand that today's market is the greatest opportunity I've seen in the last 14 years to truly impact more people, more clients, more buyers, more sellers. That's today's real estate market. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. So let me tell you why it's an opportunity. The first reason that it's an opportunity is that for the first time in over a decade, there's never been a time in the last 10 years where our buyers and sellers don't need us more. They need us right now. Let's be truthful here, okay? 3-4 years ago, did it take much skill to get home sold? Let's be real, okay? Most of us, right, we put the sign in the yard, or all we had to do is tell maybe one agent about the house and offers, right? Sign in the yard, put the house in the MLS, boom, home sold. Okay. Well, today's sellers all are pretty educated, right? They know what's going on. Well, they didn't need us as much, right? You could argue, well, of course they need us, multiple offers. It's a lot to navigate. Yes, you're right. Okay. There is always challenges in every market that we're in. But the truth is today's market needs agents that are skilled, need agents that are committed to the buyers and sellers' success, just like you are. That's what today's buyers and sellers need. We're actually needed now. I think about today's buyers and how stressful it is to make a decision to start building wealth in real estate, to buy your first house, to make a move with higher interest rates, when knowing that 4 or 5 years ago they could have purchased a home for a much smaller interest rate, right? So they have all these questions like, I missed it, right? They have fear that they missed the opportunity, versus they need agents like you, like me, that understand that no matter when you buy in real estate, over a 5 to 10 year period, you win. And that there's no better investment on the planet than real estate. Buyers need to hear that message. They need us. So why today is an amazing opportunity, and why you need to look at it that way to keep motivated, is that buyers and sellers need agents that care, need agents that know the power of buying and purchasing, starting to build wealth in real estate, and know the power of getting a home sold right in today's market. And that's you. That's me. Let's stay motivated because they need us. Okay. The second reason that we need to stay motivated is when our consumer buyers and sellers need us, our value goes up. So what does that mean? That means that based on your value, what you offer, okay, it is much easier to collect your fee. Now, to be very clear, there is not a set fee. Each of us that are listening should have a different fee based on what is the value that we offer. But the truth is that when buyers and sellers didn't need us, our fee many times got negotiated, right? Because we weren't as valuable. We weren't as needed. Well, in today's market, we're needed. And so our value goes up. And so there's a huge opportunity to grow your wealth and to grow your business and to grow your revenue. That's why the average Empower Home agent right now, his business is up. Their income is up year over year over 30%. And the reason for that is because we know that our value is there. We negotiate it, we protect it. Well, I'm sorry, I should have said we protect it first. Okay. And then we stand behind it, right? And buyers and sellers are more likely to pay it because we're needed. So why you should be so motivated, okay, to capitalize on today's market opportunity is because we're needed, which means that we can make a bigger impact on our communities. We can make a bigger impact on our buyers and sellers. And we can grow our own wealth and we can grow our own business because we're able to protect and defend our fee and what we offer. I hope today's session was helpful. Again, your mindset's everything. And boy, when we're needed, should we stay motivated to serve. Because you guys, this isn't just business. It's personal. We get to come into people's homes. We get to help advise them, be the fiduciary to their largest asset. You know, I say all the time to sellers that I talk to on a regular basis is that when you go to sell a home, it's like performing open heart surgery on your finances. And we get to come in, we get invited into their kitchen table to serve them. It's personal. It's not just business. It's love, it's care, it's service. So let's choose to protect our mindset. Let's stay motivated to serve when our clients need us most. And let's focus on the buyers and sellers that we serve every single day. And together, let's rise and let's give back to amazing, worthy causes like KW Cares. Bye, guys. Can't wait.
Hello, it's your friend James Shaw. Thank you so much for supporting KW Cares and being part of Multiply Your Business. We just appreciate your willingness to jump in and be involved and support the KW Cares community so that it can support you back. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I'm excited to be with you to talk a little bit about a mindset in this market, right? Over the 20 years I've been with Keller Williams and I've served as an agent, a team leader, a Bold coach, a MAPS coach, a KWU master faculty member, and now I spend most of my time inside the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook community. I have seen the power of mindset and its impact on your success. So what I want to talk about today in this market that's ever changing and a little bit more challenging are 4 things we need to consider when it comes to our mindset and the way we look at today's market. And so I trust that these 4 things will help you be prepared for whatever market you're in and whatever market is coming. And so we'll unpack them, because the truth is that the market doesn't determine whether or not you succeed. Your mindset impacts how you see the opportunity in the market. And right now there's transition all over the place. Some of you are in buyer's markets, some of you are in seller's markets, some of you are shifting in between. Well, opportunity shows up in transition, which is what we're in right now. There is massive opportunity if you choose to go out and look for it and have the right perspective. So the first thing I want you to think about is choosing your soundtrack. How are you going to look at the market? That's number 1. Choose your soundtrack. Now, this comes from my friend John Acuff, who wrote a book called Soundtracks. And in the book, he talks really about how the way that you perceive things, the soundtrack that you have about them, is either working for you or against you. It's helping you find opportunity or limit your ability in finding it. And then when the market changes, our soundtrack and our playlist can get really loud. It can tell you things like nobody's selling right now, nobody can afford to buy, interest rates are too high, sellers are unrealistic about price. And as that voice gets louder, it leads to more fear, it leads to more doubt. You can start to compare yourself to other agents and wonder, why are they getting deals when I can't? We've got to replace the soundtrack. That's step number 1, is we get to choose it and replace it. And choose to see this kind of market as a market of opportunity. Instead of, this is the horrible market or things are awful. Say something like, there are winners in every market and I'm going to choose to be one. Now, what opportunities are there for me so that I can be? Nobody's buying or selling. Truth is, somebody is buying or selling today. And the question is it with you? One easy thing you can go do is log into your multiple listing service and just see how many closings there were yesterday. And my guess would be there were more closings yesterday in your town than you hope to sell all year. There's plenty of opportunity out there. You got to be willing to find it. Don't deny reality. Embrace it. Define it. And decide how to act based on it. Number 1, choose your soundtrack. Number 2, control what you can control. You can't control the market. You cannot control interest rates. You cannot control what happens to home prices. You cannot control what happens to affordability. But there's a lot of things you can control. In Shift, great book, right? We talk about it all the time in Pivot Shift Ahead. Shift is so good. Gary says you cannot control the market, but you can control your outlook and your response to it. You have to choose what actions you're going to take. Focus on 3 things, really: your lead generation activities, your skill building, and developing relationships with people inside of your database. If you go and you said, my job today is to go build relationships with people so that when they need a real estate agent, they'll choose me, that's winning. Control the controllables in a market like this. See, I think one thing we need to remember is that a majority of the people in your database do not need you. 95% of them do not have a real estate need, don't know anybody who does, and only 5% do. Well, see, so many agents wake up every day going, how do I find the 5% that need me? And they go out and they're lead generating for it and searching for it. And then that just comes with a lot of rejection because a small group of people in your database need you. But if you decide instead that you're just going to go pour in and add value to the 95% of the people in your database who don't need you, so that when they move from the 95% to the 5%, they call you, well, then your whole world changes. You can't get rejected because you're offering value. You can't get turned away because you're not asking for anything. You just want to connect and add value to them. Control what you can control. How often do you reach out to your database? What do you say? How do you add value to them? And that's where we move into a process over outcome focus. So many agents determine their day-to-day success based on outcomes, which you have less control over, instead of process, which you have a lot of control over. Process is, how many people am I going to talk to today? What am I going to talk about? What am I going to send? What am I putting on my social media? I don't care what your process is, as long as it's a process that you can commit to, pay attention to, and stay focused on daily, I think you can win. So number 2, control what you can control. Number 3, stability is your advantage. Now, this comes from another great book that I love from my friend Brad Stulberg. The name of the book is The Practice of Groundedness. And we've talked about it a lot inside of Pivot Shift Ahead. And in that, he talks about the process of slowing down a little bit, of getting clear on the goals that you have and what is required for you to get there. To get stable in your daily systems. In a shift, speed, reacting quickly, and panic, quite frankly, can become very tempting, can become something that's all around you. You can hear people freaking out in your office. Your clients and consumers think everything is bad. Whenever you turn on the news and they talk about what's going on in our industry, it's always talk about how horrible it is, when the truth is there will be homes sold every day. 4 million or so transactions just about every year minimum. There's enough opportunity for you, not for everybody, but there's enough for you. The state of the market's irrelevant to you. It's about you being stable by getting grounded in your daily habits. 3 areas in that I want you to consider. Number 1 is start with your morning focus. Visualize your day. Think about the things that you want to accomplish that day. Review your goals. And I would encourage you to make what we do inside of Pivot Shift Ahead part of that. The Facebook group that I started now in March of 2020 is all built around a morning daily mastermind call. 20 minutes at 8 o'clock Eastern for you to get stable, to get grounded, to start your morning with focus. That's number 1. Number 2, stay in community. See, when things get challenging, what people tend to do is they pull back, they withdraw, they step away. When the truth is, now's the time to lean in, which is a term I don't really love, but it's the truth. We lean in, we get involved, we get engaged. You go into your office, you go to sales meeting, you lead generate with other people. You come inside communities like Pivot Shift Ahead and the many others that exist so that you're not kind of in this lone wolf mode, because community gives you 2 things, right? It gives you hope that you can succeed with idea and strategy, and it inspires progress. In other words, it teaches you the things you've got to do to succeed. So that's number 2. Number 1, start your morning with focus. Number 2, stay in community. And then number 3, end your day with reflection. What worked? What didn't? And what do you want to make sure you do again tomorrow? Again, getting around others and masterminding with others is a key piece for that. So number 3 is stability is your advantage. Number 4 thing to consider when it comes to a shift is to skill up and stand out. In Shift, Gary talks about how skills are the great equalizer. That success in a market like this comes to those who work on their skills, who are into coaching, who are into training, who are into skill development, and who adapt the fastest. Now, there's 3 probably skill pieces that we could work on. Number 1 is pricing. Right now, a quarter of all listings in the US have a price reduction. Back in 2021, it was like 11% of listings in the US needed a price reduction. Now it's over a quarter. We've got to get better at pricing and improve our skill there and price homes appropriately. Price it for the market's going, not where the market has been. Number 2, we need to know how to communicate with sellers and buyers today and overcome their objections and answer their questions. This is skill development for you to just be better equipped to talk to people, answer their questions, and help explain the realities of the market. For the person that says, I want to wait for rates to come down, or can't we price a little bit higher and leave room to negotiate? Both of those could be bad ideas based on their motivation, and yet you've got to help share it with them. And then number 3, you want to stand out. Is your social media, your marketing, and what you're doing allowing you to be noticed? Is it clear? Is it compelling? And is it consistent? That's what top agents are doing. So to recap, in a market like this, in order for you to succeed, there's 4 things I want you to think about. And those 4 things are: first, choose your soundtrack. Number 2, control what you can control. Number 3, stability is your advantage. And number 4, skill up and stand out. Now, this is the kind of stuff we talk about all the time inside of Pivot Shift Ahead. And so I hope you'll come join us in the Facebook group. It's super easy to find. And we have a mastermind call every single weekday morning at 8 o'clock Eastern. You're welcome to join us live. If not, you can find the recordings on my YouTube channel. Thanks again for supporting KW Cares. Go out and be well. Bye-bye.
October 14th, we are here, Mo. Everyone's watching and listening to us here live. We are in Multiply and raising money for KW Cares. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I'm so grateful for you, Mike, because you've done this several years and you are amazing and you raise so much money doing this, and we are so grateful. All of us are. Bless you and thank you.
Well, thank you for the kind words, and I appreciate your leadership. We couldn't do it with people like you, and I do, you know, even though they don't really want me to say this, I'm going to say it. Our goal, mine and your goal, we won't tell anyone, even though we have 5,000 people or more here. 500,000 has to be our goal this year. We have to be better than last year, which is just amazing. And it's funny, I was asking some of our great sponsors to join us in this event. And, you know, some people hadn't necessarily heard of the event, and some had. They did not realize we've raised over $1 million easily just in this incremental Multiply event, which is pretty awesome. And I know you've been very giving in that way, so we appreciate it. But I wanted to real quick, if I could, I might ask the first question to you is, you know, why real estate? What got you into real estate, and why the real estate world?
I came into the business because my husband pushed me into the business. I was happy being a public school music teacher, loved my kids, loved my choir, and I had never considered real estate, and I thought he was totally out of his mind when he suggested it to me. But remember, when I was 8 years old, I started praying and asking God to give me more money than I needed because I grew up in poverty. And he knew that I would never have more money than I needed if I stayed in the public school realm. So I was willing to give it a try because I did want to have enough money that I could give away, like to KW Cares.
That's
So
awesome.
I didn't get in it from being called to be in it. I got in it from being shoved to be in it.
What's funny, you say that, you know, as you think about you were going to change the lives of your students in the music room and in school and all that, but now you've been able over the years to change, you know, 500,000 people's lives. You know, as you know, in our organization, we have 175,000 people. You're continuing to change lives every day. So I appreciate it so much. A side story off script, if you will. We were talking about Pete Carroll, you know, the coach for the Los Angeles Raiders. He's 74. And we had this on our regional call on Monday. We talked about he's running down the tunnel. He's high-fiving players and he's high-fiving things. And I remember seeing you in San Antonio. You were the first person in the room for everything, high-fiving people and talking about planting flags and moving us in the right direction. So I appreciate your continued leadership. I'm going to get in, and no hard questions, all softballs together, right? You think about this, and our topic somewhat is about mindset. And, you know, throughout the year and maybe last year, you've heard a lot of people talk about interest rate is high. I can't sell homes. You know, it's slower. It's more difficult. And as we know, I think 8 million sides are still going to transact this year. How do you keep your mindset right in maybe a tough time, or maybe not a flawless, perfect time in real estate and in life and in business?
Well, mindset is critically important. And in the early days of Quantum Leap, Gary had 4 truths for mindset. One of them was by changing the inner attitude of your mind, we can change the outer aspect of our lives. And I took that to heart. And I want to tell you a quick story. Back in the late 80s, early 90s, we had a major recession in the oil patch. We lost everything we had, and we were this close to bankruptcy. But we didn't ever declare bankruptcy. It ended up taking us 10 years to pay other people's debts off because we'd signed the notes joint and severally. Now, when you do that, that means if you all go broke,
On the
and
desk.
you're left with any money, the one who has money left pays everybody else's bills. And that is, we're told not to do that in our holy book, but we did it anyway and paid a high price. Now, I used to say to Richard, if we lost everything, I know we could build back. Well, we did lose, and he used to get mad at me for saying that. Well, we did lose almost everything, and I would still tell people, I know we can build back. But when I said it, I did not believe it. But I knew if I affirmed it over and over and over and over, then I would change the attitude of my mind and it would show up in my outer world. So people would tell us they were sorry that we lost all this stuff in the downturn. And I would say, I know we can build back better than ever before. And by the 2000th time I said it, the next morning I woke up and I honestly believed it. Honestly believed it. Now listen to this. This is amazing. 2 weeks later, after I confessed that I honestly believed it, a man named Gary Keller called me out of the blue. I'd never heard of him before, and the rest is history.
That's awesome. You got me to a story. This was obviously my brainchild to have Multiply, to be able to help KW Cares. And really at the heart of it is to be able to help people that maybe couldn't come to Mega Camp or Family Reunion, couldn't make the travels. Maybe they were a single parent, or they had an elderly parent that they couldn't travel or they couldn't leave. That's why we're paying this forward to our associates. But this was my brainchild in COVID. And my wife asked me, she said, are we going to be okay? Because the world was going to shut down, as you know. And I believed it in my heart and my mind. I was maybe a little bit worried, but I said, we are going to be fine. We are going to put the effort. We are going to learn. We are going to do business differently. And we are just going to hustle like we always have. And it was one day of maybe our phones not ringing and the world shut down. Then the next day, real estate happened, and our phones went gangbusters. And 2020 was one of the greatest years from a business perspective for a lot of people and me. And so that was great.
Well, even this year is a great year for so many people because they have the right mindset. And Mike, the mind needs discipline, just like our bodies need to be disciplined. We need to discipline our eating. We need to be disciplined in exercise. And so we forget to discipline our minds sometimes.
That was going to be one of my next questions. If you had advice for agents that are maybe running on a hard stretch. And I think I heard you, talk about mindset. And I love that you said the 2000th time. I know Ken Pozek is one of our speakers today, and we appreciate him doing that. I remember he said it was like his 237th video. So he had recorded 236 videos before and not got one piece of business. But then his 237th, boom, he got his first piece of business. And now he's probably going to do over $500 million in real estate in 1 year, a town he never lived in. So those are great examples in our company of people putting their mind to it and continuing to have that consistency and putting in the work every day. I was going to ask you, obviously you've been with Keller Williams and you met Gary at that time. If you think about your tenure at Keller Williams, what are some of the things that you're most proud of our organization and our company?
Well, I'm proud of the contribution I was able to make in the area of culture and in the area of standards, because when I went there to be the CEO, I saw that there was very few standards that were clear and understandable. And the higher our standards go, the greater job we do of lifting our people. And when the standards are mediocre, we can expect mediocre production. When the standards are low, then we just clamp our people downward. So high standards are critically important. And then Gary in his first ALC had created this wonderful thing called the Y4C2Ts. And I believe the contribution I made is it became a living thing in our company instead of just a piece of paper that we looked at or a big sign on the wall. Those days were amazing when people really got the Y4C2Ts from the intellect to the heart, because it has to go to the heart before they'll take action. And they began to take action, and Katrina was just the most amazing stories that all of you did were, oh my.
You brought that up, and I know this is the 20-year anniversary, right, of Katrina. And do you want to share a little bit about that? Just how I think, if I think about, and I want to go back on one thing, you talked about culture. I still hear it everywhere I go in different places. They talk about profit as being culture. And that's something you say about being in culture. And I know some places in our company that's not happening right now, but I believe people are continuing to put in the work, and we're going to do this. So I love that you said we need to have God, family, business, and think about profit as a cultural because that provides more opportunity. As you started moving from a school teacher to being the chairman of the great business person that you are, you could give so much more. And that's what we want to ask people to do today. I had a dream, that 500,000 is very easy to do if everyone gave $50, right? We would be there and no problem at all. Do you want to share, Katrina, a little bit? I know you spent some amazing work there in starting everything that we're doing today.
Well, we had $200,000 in the bank when Katrina hit, because we had just begun to build KDB Cares. And I knew that we would need about 5 million like tomorrow morning. Well, it took us a while to get it, but through a telephone call to all the leadership, we had 50,000 agents, and if everybody could give $100, and we know some agents couldn't, so we encouraged the team leaders to encourage the big producers to help make up the difference. But I encouraged people to sell old books, to mow lawns, to make jewelry, whatever it took to get $100. And by the end of December, we had 5.3 million. And it was more than NAR raised if you compare how many people they had compared to how many people we had. But the thing that really set it off was Bob Kalinske. When he suggested we do heart to heart, I saw people drive cars that they purchased to the site of the hurricane and give them to agents, trucks loaded. It was unbelievable how many people in our company adopted a family and did all these things. Oh, I hope that story is written publicly someday, because it was amazing.
It's amazing you said that. Even when I did Harvey, we went down there obviously and we're mucking people's homes and spending time with them. A lot of time we obviously raised great money and able to help our associates through KW Cares and other things. But families that were not even necessarily, we was in a house next to a Keller Williams person and next to a Keller Williams person and next to a Keller Williams person. We were able to go in and help those families, the stories that they'll continue to tell about Keller Williams coming in their home. That was the part that was really cool to me, is that people realizing that, wait a minute, this company is just going to cancel their event and come down and help us. As we're kind of wrapping up a little bit and you think about mindset and you think about what you've gone through in your career, what do you think about the future for Keller Williams and the future for KW Cares and the future that we need to be thinking about as an organization?
Well, I'm hoping that the culture is carried forward. And I believe that right now our emphasis needs to be on profit. In order to get profit, you have to recruit. In order to get profit, you have to control your expenses. And Keller Williams has the best formula I've ever seen in how you build a budget, because all of your A's, that is your budget. And you have to live within your means. Now, you want to add some things, you got to go get some R1s. I mean R2s. And then R1s are those who will become R2s. And if we focused on profit and we built the #1 company in the world for owners making profit, wow, wouldn't that be something? And
For
we've
sure.
accomplished #1 in every other area, and we still are. Now let's go to work on profit. So if I were going to be planting a flag in the ground, it would have profit on it because profit is the report card on how well we're doing. And when you consider an owner will give up to about 47% of the profits to whoever is interested in helping us build the company, it's a beautiful thing. It creates synergy, and it makes everybody very happy.
When, as you know, with profit, we have more to be able to give. But one thing I want to challenge everyone watching or listening, Mo, if I could, I'm going to give you a high five if that's all right.
Okay.
And it's a good reminder to let everyone know, at minimum, we challenge you just to do $5 in transactional giving. All the associates, as you know, that as you talked about, that continues to have the ripple effect, and you talk about it and you have conversations around that. That's going to give back to you, kind of how you talked about with Richard. You said, we will get back and we will grow back. So I would challenge everyone to start with $5 today. And then as their life becomes more abundant and they get more profit, continuing to raise that number all the time would help our company for futures and future associates forever. So Mo, from all of us, yeah, and if you have one last thing, but I just want to say thank you for coming on and your leadership and how teaching us about culture and about giving and doing it the right way in God, family, business.
Yes, Mom.
And I knew I loved you as a side thing because my dad's name is Richard and my brother's name is Richard. And another fun side thing is I kind of nudged my wife into real estate, and then she actually didn't get into real estate the first time. And then I got into real estate, and then she joined me two years later. So that was really cool. So it's definitely a family business, which I love and wouldn't trade, and grateful for your leadership.
Thank you so much, Mike, for inviting me to come on. It was such a privilege. Thanks.
Well, guys, we're going to keep going with Multiply. We truly appreciate you guys being here. Give. And if somebody's not here, have them join live. Even if they're starting in a little bit late, they're going to get value from Multiply today. We do have an opportunity to buy the recording from Multiply. Please go ahead and sign up, share with friends, and let's continue to give and win. And thank you for your mindset moment, Mo. We appreciate you so much. Love you.
Love you. Bye, everybody.
Can get things out of their mouth and easily into the ears of others, you maybe are used to not needing to increase your skill level in that space. But I say to that group of people, now is where your preparation needs to step up. I'm someone who can just chat, and sometimes somehow it just comes out of my mouth without sounding too terribly dumb. But what I've noticed is, for me, the level of preparation that I've been having this year has been more directly tied to my success level there. So whether you're someone who needs to work on how you're saying things and your skill level, or if you're someone who needs to work on your preparation, I loved when James was talking about that. So thank you, James.
And he kept it very simple. So as if I continue want to be a better speaker and things that you're doing. Also, I heard Phil Jones say this one time in Gary's mastermind, slow down, which is very hard for me to sometimes do. My brain's already 17 steps. How do you slow that down? This has been a lot of fun. So if they would, what's the magic word? We want to use upgrade. This has been great for raising money for KW Cares today, but I would challenge all of you on, and we'd love to know who's been to all 5 of these. Go ahead and put in the chat, give us a high five, raise your hand if you've been to all 5. But if you will, 5 is the lucky number today. $5 in transactional giving will go a long, long way to continue to hit our goal. Do you know, I think we're really close to hitting $1.5 million in all 5 years that we've done this, Kelly. How cool is that?
This is amazing. It's for anyone who's ever been in the fundraising space, that's a number that is no joke. And thank you, Mike, for this brainchild and for letting me talk my way into getting to hang out with you here. It's fun every year, and I'm so grateful for our associates and for this amazing company.
My mom is probably the only one that ever watches my social media sometimes, but I told her in that $1.5 million, think about it. Our average price ticket, you know, is anywhere from $30 to $57, if you will, on average. That's a lot of tickets giving back to a lot of people, learning how much is this compounding in people's real estate business. And I know too, we would not be remiss if we didn't thank, I know we have a lot of guests throughout other market centers that are having watch parties. I think it was in South Florida, they had 7 watch parties at 7 different market centers. And I know they have their guests. So if you're in another brokerage or you're just listening in, thank you for joining. Hopefully you saw our culture, you saw our company, and you saw the way we give at a high level every day. And you would think about talking to a team leader or assistant team leader, an OP, to come over to our family and join us in this culture.
I love that, Mike.
Cool. Well, hey, we're at right. My time says 2:30. Hopefully we followed orders and we're doing good. I know you and I could talk for 14 more minutes, but we'll wrap it up.
Mike, we're 30 minutes over is what you just said, and you're so excited about it. I love that that's where your head is at. Congratulations, everyone. We did it with only 30 extra minutes. We're so grateful that you joined us, and have an awesome Q4. Let's finish 2025 strong.